All right, brothers, we're going to grab the chair. Testing one. All right. Check, 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 check. Mic check. 1 2 1 2. Mic check. 1 2 1 2. Mic check. Mic check. All right, all right. Shalom, how are you doing this evening? Shabbat shalom. I apologize for the tardiness. Boy, it's hard to get a parking spot in Ephraim land, isn't it? But the Most High made us safe, so we good, we good. How y'all doing? Well, I know we have some food tonight, so We're not going to take too long. I just want to say a few things and answer a few questions if y'all would like this evening. Before we begin, we'll start with the Hebrew Credo. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one God. And what I'm looking to do this evening is give you all an update on where the church is and what the Most High have been doing since I've seen a lot of you last Passover, from Passover to Passover. So I have a few stories to tell, and of course, I'm here to hear a few of your stories, break bread, and who knows, we probably do a few interviews tonight, talk to a few brothers and sisters one-on-one. Let's begin. Elder Lawyer.
You can all rise. I Madyam. This one. You can face the east. Shema Yasha Allah Ahaya Allahayanawa Ahaya Akkad.
Shema Yasha Allah Ahaya Allahaya Nawa Ahaya Akkad.
Shema Yasha Allah Ahaya Allahayanawa Ahaya Akkad.
Shema Yasha Allah Ahaya Allahaya Nawa Ahaya Akkad.
Shema Yasha Allah Ahaya Allahayanawa Ahaya Akkad.
Shema Yasha Allah Ahaya Allahaya Nawa Ahaya Akkad.
Hear, O Israel.
Hear, O Israel.
The Lord our God is one.
The Lord our God is one.
All right. Yeshabiam, you may be seated.
Okay. Before we begin, I want to ask who was responsible for the preparation of the food this evening, if you all can stand up, the preparation. I need you to give them a round of applause. Thank you. I appreciate you. We appreciate you. And who's responsible for the nice placings and the books and all those little nuances? If you can stand up. Probably the same people, huh? Come on. Thank you. Who say the sisters don't have a ministry? You can't do nothing without no sisters. Right? All right. Before I begin, I would like to say a hearty shalom and a loving thank you to Elder Amath and his family, if they could stand up. And I thank them for everything they do. Thank you. A family that exemplifies the spirit of Yeshua, Christ, the anointed, their servants. And you can tell the passion and love they have for brothers and sisters, and exudes throughout the whole congregation. Of course, to see we're a little light tonight. I know the last time I was in Philadelphia, there's a lot more people than this, but hey, who knows? Maybe this is, maybe this is the stronghold we have of many, right? First and foremost, again, just like we did the Hebrew Credo, it was, Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one, giving full credence and thanks to the Most High, Ahaya, Bahashim Yeshaya, Warawak, that's the Most High. Okay, his son Yeshua, which is Christ in the ancient Hebrew, which means Savior, and the Holy Spirit. I thought I would talk to you this evening in the midst of Saturnalia. Okay? In a few days, the majority of the population, the world's population and America's population, will be coming down off of their hypnosis. What happens is right before the holy days or the holidays, the I is synonymous with Y. They get everyone in the spirit of what we call Christmas. but in ancient times it was called Saturnalia in Rome. And what happens is a lot of people don't understand it's hypnosis. They play the music, they get you in the spirit of it. Every other commercial you see Zell's diamonds or that diamond or jewelry and all these things, and your boss lets you off of work. They're tyrants and taskmasters all year, but they seem kind of nice during this time, right? And then what happens? What's the day's date? The 28th, 29th? The 30th? Huh. Well, New Year's Eve is what, tomorrow? What happens? Once the ball drop on December 31st, and there's a Happy New Year, people wake up from their psychosis with empty pockets. Right? But we're not here to talk about that right now. Usually when the word is going forth and we're bringing forth admonishment and warning and saying that it's time to get right and repent and what's going on in the earth, to some degree, it can leave us in a what you would call sort of destitute or melancholy type of state, a sorrowful type of state, asking the Most High, what world was I born in, right? But I thought we would turn this for the better this evening. That this is a celebration. Since the last time I've seen you, Passover. Of course, we can tell you what the so-called elite satanic governments are doing. Of course, while everyone is celebrating Saturnalia in their psychosis at no fault of their own, you have Congress and the so-called Zionists planning and writing and signing in certain documents that will mean more oppression on our people coming what they call so-called 2017. You won't hear about it until about 2 weeks from now, and something that Congress snuck in and signed during the what they call the holiday absence. This is when they usually sign in some serious laws that oppress the people. But we're not going to talk about that. Let's focus on this. They know. When I say they know, the powers that be that are operating and that are controlling this world understand that this truth and what's going on cannot be hindered. They know. It's to the point where they're not even to themselves cleaving to Judaism or any level of being Israel anymore. I have a few articles that I went into this morning that I want to prepare for you all and talk to you about. But let me tell you about the body you've been baptized into, which is Christ's body. How many of you are baptized? Raise your hand. Yes, 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 yes. It's the whole house, isn't it? Any non-baptized members? Okay. Thank you. You're going to be baptized, right? There's a brother that called me and said he needed to come tonight, and I said that I will connect him to Elder Amath. Is he in? That brother, that one brother? Huh? Brother Leonard. Is he here? He's on his way. Okay. Let me tell you what's going on since last Passover. Right? We have set up and went throughout the United States with a few new places to travel to that we haven't yet hit yet. So far, we've been to where? Detroit. We've been to Chicago. So far, we've been to New York. Am I missing something? We've been to North Carolina. We've been to Ohio. We've been to Toronto, Canada. The first time we're here in Philadelphia, right? Since the Passover, together as a body. And it's full circle for me because this is where actually the church began, here in Philadelphia. And it's something else to see you all. Well, soon we'll be going to Jamaica. We have a congregation there. We're going back to England for the first time, our London congregation, and go into 2 weeks into England and stay there and operate and encourage our brothers and sisters there. Then, eventually, we have to go through the Spirit of the Most High. We have to get there. We have to get to California and the West Coast, Texas, Houston, and we have to set up a place in Louisiana. We have to also go out into South Pacifics. We have to go to Hawaii. We have to go to Australia. We have to go to these different areas. Why am I mentioning this to you all? That's a lot of work, right? Well, that work is not just my work or elder lawyer's work. This work is your work. Eventually, you all going to have to step to the plate and finish this, because they're cutting off resources. They're cutting off access soon with the internet. And we're going to need brothers and sisters on the ground finishing this work. I want to show you something. The Bible tells us that once the attacks begin in the Middle East, that eventually the kings are going to flee back into Chittim or into Greek in Europe and begin to go back and align themselves with the 10 horns. Who are we speaking about? We speaking about the Jewry, or the Jewish people, you know, today is Jewish. Now, I started this off with saying they know. It can't be hid no more. Well, it's because of the light being shown through the internet, getting on the streets, talking to our people. But there's a new phase, a next phase, brothers and sisters alike, going to have to take in this work, and we're going to talk about that. But first, let me go into the fact that the powers that be actually know. They know who you are, and they know we know now who they are. Now, what does that mean for you? Well, to some degree, it's good. Right? But now that we have staked claim to our true heritage and promise, being the sons of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, now, according to scriptures, they will test whether or not our God will protect us. That's where we're going. Okay, you know. Okay, you God's people. Okay, let's see if he will be there once we're finished with you. I'm going to show you. Let's go there real quick in the Apocrypha, where it says, let us oppress the poor. The poor and the righteous.
Mm-hmm. This is Wisdom of Solomon, the 2nd chapter.
You got it?
Yes, sir.
Come on.
Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 2, verse 1. For the ungodly said, reasoning with themselves.
The ungodly said, reasoning within themselves.
But not aright.
But not aright.
Our life is short and tedious, and in the death of a man there is no remedy.
Go on.
Neither was there any man known to have returned from the grave. For we are born at all adventure, and we shall be hereafter as though we had never been.
Now, the scriptures are identifying the mindset of the elite, the powers, the Edomites, the Amalekites. Okay? They're going to enjoy the earth like children, realizing this is all that's left. There's no hope for the powers that are ruling upon the coming of our Lord and Savior. This is it. So the scripture says what? Read.
For the breath in our nostrils is as smoke, and a little spark in the moving of our heart. We being extinguished, our body shall be turned into ashes, and our spirit shall vanish as the soft air.
Come on.
And our name shall be forgotten in time, and no man shall have our works in remembrance. And our life shall pass away as a trace of a cloud, and shall be dispersed as a mist, that is driven away with the beams of the sun, and overcome with the heat thereof. For our time is a very shadow that passeth away, and after our end there is no returning. For it is fast sealed, so that no man cometh again. Come on, therefore, let us enjoy the good things that are present, and let us speedily use the creatures like as in youth.
So the rich and powerful are saying, listen, this is all we have. So let's use the Most High's creation for ourselves. Let's make this whole land our playground. Let's make people our slaves. Let's just use the earth knowing there's nothing after this. Read.
Verse 7, let us fill ourselves with costly wine and ointments, and let no flower of the spring pass by us.
Come on.
Let us crown ourselves with rosebuds before they be withered. Let none of us go without his part of our voluptuousness. Let us leave tokens of our joyfulness in every place, for this is our portion.
When it says tokens of their joyfulness, every place they go, they set up what? Statues and monuments, so that they can be remembered beyond their time. Why? Because this is it. So what do Masons do? They set a chief cornerstone. They find a place, and they begin to what? Set statues up for themselves, knowing that they won't be remembered after this. Right? Go on.
Verse 10, let us oppress the poor righteous man.
And they say, let us do what?
Let us oppress the poor righteous man.
We are set up to oppress the poor righteous man. You want to know why you're oppressed? A lot of people look at it as strictly racism. Well, I'm black, I'm that. It's way deeper than that. It's a promise unfulfilled that we will soon receive, which they understand. Now, oppression is actually a tool. If you can oppress someone or keep them in a low state, then what? They can never understand or realize their condition and how to get out of it. When we began to free ourselves in ancient Egypt, what did Pharaoh say? Let them make brick without straw. Let's double work them. If they're tired, then they won't think about what we're doing to them. You understand? They'll rest. They'll be weak. So oppression is a weapon. Let us oppress the poor righteous man. Now, why does it say righteous man? Believe it or not, they know that we are conscious people. They know that we are moral people by nature. But they look at that morality as a weakness. Okay? We have rules. They don't. Read.
Let us oppress the poor righteous man. Let us not spare the widow, nor reverence the ancient gray hairs.
That's
of
why
the
they
age.
don't care about the women. They don't care about the elderly. Read.
Nor reverence the ancient gray hairs of the age.
And let's not respect the wise. Let's throw our wise men and women who have paved the way for us into nursing homes and euthanize them with medication and kill them off so that the youth don't receive that wisdom that should be left down from one generation to the next. This is all scripture. Read.
Verse 11. Let our strength be the law of justice.
And we're going to use the law. While they're off on their Saturnalia Christmas vacation, we're going to sign in more oppressive laws. Let us do what?
Let our strength be the law of justice.
Be the law of justice. Come on.
For that which is feeble is found to be nothing worth.
Come on.
Therefore, let us lie in wait for the righteous.
Let us lie in wait for the righteous. So they'll make laws to do what? To entrap you, to oppress you. Let us lie in wait for the what?
For the righteous.
For the righteous. Read.
Because he is not for our turn.
For he is not for our turn. They understand we are the children of God. They understand that no matter how much oppression they've placed on us, they could not stop the prophecies of Jacob rising. So, you know what? They're going to use the law. So what we're going to see, we're going to see more oppression. We're going to see more people getting shot, more police brutality, more people being placed in jail. But then again, there's still what? These are distractions, because no one is pinpointing the mind and the brain behind our oppression. You understand? So here it is. That's why I wanted to make this class this evening and talk about the fact that they know, right? So that now we can begin to pinpoint, according to Scripture, the enemy. Okay? Not to physically fight against the enemy, not to berate or be ignorant towards the enemy, but to use that knowledge concerning that enemy in reverse. Okay? We're gonna play their game for a minute. We're going to use the knowledge we have about them against them on their same platforms. We're going to play it the way they play it. What did Christ say? Be wise as serpents and harmless as a dove. What will set us free? The truth shall make us free, right? What do we lack? We're destroyed for a lack of knowledge, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to go into the same hoods we came from and make everyone we know who will hear knowledgeable. Why? If our people are aware of the enemy, then they don't have to fight the enemy, but they can steer away from this conspiracy or imposition against them. That's a step. What are we going to do? Hey, we're going to be knocking on doors. We're going to be setting up in churches, not just black churches, any church that will let us in. PowerPoints and presentations with the information, not what we're saying, the information that the enemy is divulging concerning themselves. It's not even going to be about me being an Israelite or me not liking white people or that people. It's not even about that. See, they play on these little discrepancies that they create, the black-white paradigm. It works too. The incinerated conversation paradigm, the woman-man paradigm. No, what we'll do is we'll bring in slideshows and scriptures with them telling who they are and what they're doing. Okay? So listen, you can't come against us. This is what the enemy didn't tell you. Now, either you can continue to play on the side of the enemy and bury your congregation one by one like you've been doing, or stand on the side of justice and righteousness and follow the truth according to the Most High? That will be these churches' choices. Okay? With full disclosure, which means all the information going to be put before them, before their congregation, and now they'll have a choice with their congregation knowledgeable now. Right? Check this out. Now, if usually we bring out things like this during the academy. I know a lot of you have been in the academy, right? Right? A lot of information comes out there, right? And I wanted to give a report from last year where we are today, right? There's a report that came out this year, what they call 2016, brothers and sisters. It was an article from the Times of Israel. Now, you'll never read this information within the United States. Now, why is this information so pertinent? Well, in Thessalonians, it tells us that Christ cannot come or will not come until that man of perdition be revealed. Right? Now, for a long time, we believe that man of perdition would be some antichrist somehow popped up over some government and become the world's Hitler, right? But who fed us that story? The same people who created Hitler. The same people, now I'm going to say that again, the same people who created Hitler. Okay? Hitler, it was no different back then than what bin Laden and al-Baghdadi is now. The only difference is they didn't have access to the information you and I have information to investigate a lot of these Zionist stories. The whole thing, the Nuremberg trial, all of that was fabricated. All of it was fabricated. And see, it's not about being anti-Semitic. Let me make this clear. My thing is, let's be equal and equitable in what? In judgment concerning any event. That's all. Why? I keep hearing 6 million, 6 million, 6 million, 6 million Jews died, 6 million. And I'm like, well, okay, that's fine. I know you care about a Holocaust and someone died. That's fine. Do you know anybody that died there? Well, no, I'm just Jewish. Okay, all right, that's fine. That's fine. I know you care about how many people died in World War II. That's fine. How many black people died in World War II? And they'll look at you with a blank. Okay, what's going on? How many Russians died in World War II? How many Polish died in World War II? How many Asians died in World War II? So the only people you care about dying is you, when the monument should be for everyone that died in World War II, right? You see where I'm going at here? When the Bible says that man of perdition must be revealed, keep in mind, brothers and sisters, and listen to this clearly. That's a key prophecy that they have read, that they've been reading, that they know. That when the people start realizing who we are, our time is up. Who are these people? Who are the son of perdition? A lot of you believe that it would be one boogeyman that can come up and be Hitler or some bad guy. When really, it's a conspiracy way greater than you can ever imagine. There's thousands upon thousands of them with the same ideology and mindset under their father, Lucifer, under Satan. These are Satanists at its height. But we had to be able to reveal them. It wasn't about them revealing themselves. The Most High had it where the children of Israel would have to begin to awaken, to identify the sons of perdition. Because these people would never tell on themselves. Now, you might ask a question, how did they hide themselves? Well, if you print and publish all the textbooks, if you pay for and finance all the university and schools, if you finance and league with the Catholic Church, the buildings for religion, and set grants and subsidies for those in the neighborhoods to go to your seminary colleges, you control the world's narrative. On top of that, you teach the people what you need to teach the people to stay in control and lie by omission. Now, some people might ask, what is that? Lying by omission. Some things, sometimes the greater lie is not to mention nothing at all. And they will not speak to you about this truth unless you already know it. So, the Bible says that son of perdition must be revealed, right? Let's read it. Let's go to Thessalonians real quick. I'm only going to go to a few. I know we have to eat and talk, but I wanted to go into this and bring out this article, brothers and sisters, that was released in Israel, the state of Israel, this year, and none of you knew about it. So these are the things and articles and information we must bring to these churches, and not just the churches, just talk to brothers and sisters and everyone we know everywhere. Because the New York Times and all these others, the Washington Post, all these circulations, brothers and sisters, are controlled by the same people who have been hiding themselves. Now, I don't know how many of you have seen that debate with the rabbi that myself was able to deal with in the UK about 4 years ago. The debate with the rabbi, right? He was getting hot under the collar, wasn't he? He was sitting there. He was like, well, and you should have seen in between breaks how he was wondering, how did he get here? He's looking around and he's like, well, who are you? What's your name? Well, look, my name is not important, brother. God's going to bring us back in a moment. And he's like, okay, all right, we ready? Yeah. But let me tell you something. That's the first time publicly that a Jewish rabbi came out publicly and said, well, listen, we can accept that you are the Jews, but the problem is, why can't you accept us as Jews? And, sometimes I'm standing still, but in my mind, in my spirit, I'm like, yes. He did it. He said it. I'm like, man, it was like that Bernard Hopkins joint the other day. It's like, that was out the ring, man. I'm like, Lord, thank you. And I didn't say it again. I just sat, usually when a point is made, I just sit back and just let that point marinate for about 3-4 minutes, and I just looked at him. I'm like, yeah. Right? He says, yes, I can accept you Jews. Of course he can accept we are the Israelites. Of course he can. Hold up. First of all, every person, and it's not to offend anyone, because there are some great people that are not our race, that are following the law, statutes, and commandments. This is not about you. But I've never seen so many white people turn Buddhist within the last 5 years in my life. What's going on? Now you New Age. Now I'm atheist. The gig is up. Once you found out Christ looked like us, you turned Buddhist. As long as we had a white Christ up in there, it's like, yeah, Jesus loves us, don't he? No sooner as I looked at that Bible, it said black. And not only that, I'm going to tell you how deep the Bible is. The same Bible we've been reading for so long to show you that the Bible is manifold. Once your eyes is open to the correct idea and doctrine, you see everything. You ain't it deep? It's like I'm reading another book. I used to be, like growing up, I used to be mad sitting up in churches. I'd be sleeping and everything. Like, man, what's going up in here, right? But then I started saying scriptures, black, Niger, black. I'm like, I'm black. And then I looked at my mother and I looked at Cedra next to her. And I'm like, Mom, who's that? Boy, Junior, that's Jesus. You know who that is. I'm like, Mom, I'm telling you. I'm like, he's black, Mom. Junior, he's always been white. What are you talking about? Listen, in the Bible, it says that Christ was a black man and we're black. We're the people. Deuteronomy 28, slave ships. And her mother came and said, you know what? Your grandfather who read in Braille, he said this. He said this. And she said, you know what, Junior, I think it's time. She said, I think something's going on. I'm like, something is going on. If we would have waited for those guys that were behind the textbooks and that was behind the universities and these theologian seminary colleges and the New York Times and the Washington Post to tell us. Now, I'm holding this because this is deep. I'm going to show it to you all, the article. And I'm going to actually have the article placed on our site. The Times of Israel. This was reported in Israel. Leak report. Israel acknowledges Jews, in fact, are Khazars. Secret plan for reverse migration to the Ukraine. Hold up now. Now check it out. This is in the newspaper in Israel. You never knew this existed. Right? 2008. Let me tell you something. 2008. I'm not going, lawyer, we're going to read a lot of this in here. 2008. I did a class while we were traveling in the East. And I seen where it says that the kings that were starting that war and operating in that war in the Middle East will begin to go back into Europe. So they're not in Israel at all to make a Jewish state. They're lying. They were there to colonize the land, and through that colony, make a European base to destabilize the whole Middle East, knowing that it was a prophecy that that whole area would be utterly destroyed. So the elite powers and those that are the Masonic controllers that really know the narrative, scripture-wise, are planning to vacate Israel. Now check this out. This is another thing y'all don't know. Israel, out of all of Europe and the Middle East, has become the gay capital of Europe and the Middle East. Human trafficking, homosexuality, transgendering, pedophilia. They have a whole strip in the Lord's holy land where they can buy anything they want according to their law. So that God's people, as they claim, Did they get the land of Israel to do this? But I need you to check the spin out from the right-wing Christians, and otherwise, right? That are teaching us in our churches how great Israel is. We need to support Israel. Right? You notice that? You look at TV and you see Israel, what you see? You see streams and mountains and water flowing down, and someone speaking of, yes, and he went into GOCC, and he said he went into the mountain and he laid his hand down. And you have a string of water going down, and here's the place where Christ walked. And here it is, you believe that all of Israel is this place of righteousness and piety and law, statutes, and commandments being followed. Finally, the chosen people have their land. Right? Now, that's the game they sold us in ignorance. You think they're doing evil over here. What do you think the Most High going to do with what they're doing over there? So they know the gig is up. But like I said before, in 2008, when I was talking about this, and I'm glad I ran into this article, because the 6 million they were talking about wasn't the Holocaust, and it wasn't about Hitler at all. That was a foretold prophecy of the people they would sacrifice to their God, who followed them over into the Middle East. It will be a sacrifice of their own people. Holocaust in Hebrew means burnt sacrifice. So a sacrifice is not someone marching you into some gas chambers. That didn't happen. Okay? All of these museums and their makeshift places they call buildings for Holocaust and all that, they were all built after World War II, and it's proven. A sacrifice is nothing where you're being killed by someone. A sacrifice is when you are sacrificing. So that 6 million and 6 million was a foreshadowing of what's about to happen in the Middle East. Okay? Don't believe Donald Trump is going to do anything. He's being controlled by Zionists. Okay? The president is only, I'm going to say it again, and I said it over and over again, it's just a position of control to make us believe we have a voice. No president of any position ever made a decision beyond Zionist. The Rockefellers, the Rothschilds said, if we control the money, we could care less who's president. Because the president get paid by us. Right? So I want you to check this out real quick. Read what you got in Thessalonians, and I'm going to go right into this article here. Come on.
Yes, sir. This is the book of 2 Thessalonians, chapter 2, verse 3.
Come on.
Let no man deceive you by any means.
Don't let no man deceive you by any means. And I'll tell you this, and I'll say it over and over again. Brothers and sisters, they better not go into those old borders of Israel. Okay? The only way we can go back to that land is being led from and through our Lord and Savior. We are not going to trump the prophecy of Christ coming back and returning us to the land by being there already. That land will be utterly annihilated well before Christ returns. So if you're going into the Middle East, you better not go into those borders. It will be unsafe, totally. I'm saying it again. Because you got brothers out there talking about, I'm going to make a migration. I'm going to do the Passover over there. You can be over there if you want. But according to scriptures and what I'm seeing, this leaked report, the Jewish heads are leaving Israel. Those that founded Israel is leaving Israel. So once they attack Iran, it's a done deal. What do you think they're going to do? Iran is going to loose all of their nuclear arsenal on that land, which is Bible prophecy. And then the missiles, according to Ezra, is going to come towards Babylon. That's how it works. Now, do we fear what's going to happen? No. It's Bible prophecy. Whatever it takes to get us free, I'm down for.
That's right.
These are the Most High's prophecies. We can't stop that. We will be protected. And when I walk through the neighborhoods and I see what's going on, look like a nuclear bomb been dropped here anyway. We need something to shake us up and get us right. We're not afraid. We will be saved by a strong hand. The invisible will become visible, brothers and sisters. We will be guided. I was talking to my son the other night about the angels of the presence, how every person has a representative before the throne when the sun go down. He was like, yeah. My son, he's like, man, that's kind of cool. Looking just like me, huh? I'm like, look just like you. He says, man, that's cool. Right? Read it, Elder Lawyer.
2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 3. Let no man deceive you by any means.
Let no man deceive you by any means, not through education, not through distractions. And you notice, have you already, y'all notice how everybody everywhere, I don't know if y'all notice being online, that everyone wants to attack the Gathering of Christ Church, right? Y'all notice that, right? All right? And what is our reaction to that? More work. All right? What you say can slide right off. More work. You sit there, listen, because you can't say or do nothing more than what happened against Christ. Okay? These are small potatoes concerned to what he had to contend against. So we let it roll off and do more work. Right? So let no man deceive you by any means. Another thing that's happening, and I think the Most High, talking about what's happening between since the Passover. A woman called me up. She was around 70 years old. She says, I found your videos, and son, I've never heard nothing like this in my life, and I'm going to get baptized, and praise the Most High Ahaya. This was last week. Almost fell to my face because why? I was there when the truth began as us being Israelites. And no way possible you would see those who would convert from Christianity and actually come to the knowledge of who they are, being elderly women, elderly men, children, every demographic, regardless of color, everyone coming to the truth. That was unheard of when we were teaching in the 90s. Right? So the Most High is awakening our aged. She said, and this is what she said. She says, Elder Ricashiar, I'm going to tell you right now. I know this. She said it straight out. She said, I know you don't want to take no credit for that. But I'm going to tell you right now, you helped save my life. Right? And I'm like, the Most High saved your life, ma'am. She's like, listen, I knew you was going to say that. But I'm going to tell you right now, and I was watching your videos, and I couldn't even move. I was on all types of medications, and I went to my doctor, and I told them to take me off of these medications. And she says, I'm sharper than everyone my age, Ricard. She said, I'm strong, I'm walking, I'm talking. She says, it was like I just clicked on a video, and I just seen it, and it was speaking to me. She says, if I don't see you, I want to be baptized by you. But if I don't see you, I want you to know that you are changing, and what you're doing is help changing people's lives, even if they don't tell you. And I want to thank you for that. And I said, all praises be to the Most High. These conversations is what the truth is for. To know that it's affecting lives real time, even when the Bible is closed. It's not about how much knowledge you know all the time. It's not about that. It's about changing lives, a lasting change. That's going to always be with that sister. Right? Come on, let's go, Elder Lawyer, because I know that the food is waiting, but come on, let's go.
Sir. 2 Thessalonians 2 and 3.
Yes.
Let no man deceive you by any means.
Come on.
For that day shall not come, except there come a falling away first.
Now we know that falling away is talking about during Paul's time, Jerusalem was still inhabited by Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. We were still in Jerusalem. So back then, you had others who were claiming, well, Christ came, he was crucified. He's going to save us from the fourth beast. He's going to save us as we're going to rule again. Paul was like, well, we're going to rule again, but we must go into captivity first. We must fall by the edge of the sword first. We must lose our identity and lose all hope. We must vacate in this desolate land. Right? So that falling away is what Luke tells us. When Christ says in the book of Luke that we, Jerusalem, shall be compassed with armies and shall fall by the edge of the sword. So we had to fall first. Many people, our own people, wanted Christ to come back then. But Paul was like, no, it's not going to happen. Prophecies concerning your captivity have not occurred as of yet. So a falling away is first, then what?
And that man of sin be revealed.
And that man of sin be revealed. So Christ couldn't come back until these prophecies were fulfilled. The first prophecy, us losing Jerusalem. The second prophecy, being able to identify those who destroyed Jerusalem and continue to destroy Jerusalem. See? Even Paul says in the same chapter that mystery of iniquity doth already work. So that same spirit and people that was behind the conspiracy of millionaires, the same people through bloodline that destroyed us would need to be identified during our time. It wasn't just one man. Because Paul said, the mystery of iniquity doeth already work. Well, who's the mystery of iniquity? Who's the mystery of sin? Who was the people ruling and destroying and killing off the disciples? Who were they? Rome. The Romans. Amalek. We had to be able to identify them. Now, the best place for Amalek or Esau to hide would be where? In another race. So instead of being Esau, while we slept, they renamed themselves Jacob. The last place you would expect to find Edomites would be in Jacob. Okay? But the gig is up. I'm about to read it. That man of sin be revealed, read.
The son of perdition.
The son of perdition. That means through his media and through everything, he promotes and have access and power over. Sin would come from it. Right? Who controls clown education in their universities? Right? With no acknowledgement at all concerning the Most High God who made everything. You can teach about the distance between this and that, this star, that star. Who's the God that made it all? You're so smart, you can't even realize that nothing chaotic or confusion could come from the Most High. Anything that's ordered in the universe had to have what? An authority. With all their science and education, they can't even acknowledge the God that made everything, including them. They're the same ones teaching or having us question whether or not God exists. Now, would God's people do that? Wouldn't it be counterproductive for a person who called themselves Jacob to claim that God don't exist? Well, if God don't exist and the Bible is not true and the Red Sea didn't part and the Israelites never were in Egypt, then what are you doing in Palestine claiming to be Jews? That's what you sold us to get behind your campaign to get there. You understand? We seen the 10 Commandments with Charleston Heston and thought that you were the people. That man of sin must be revealed. But here's the deep thing. I'm going to show you how powerful and tactful the Most High is. He wasn't going to just have anybody identify the sons of perdition. He says, you know what? Through the mouth of babes, through Yeshua, through the mouth of babes, I will speak to this people. I'm going to use the uneducated to confound the wise. People with no knowledge of themselves at all, walking around with amnesia, with no knowledge of themselves or their own family. I'm going to have people that come from broken homes, people that are destitute with nothing, valley of the dry bones, so that when these people begin to speak, everyone everywhere will know that it's the Most High speaking through them, because they don't have no prior education to bring forth what they're saying. This knowledge, this understanding must be from on high. The Most High said, I'm going to use the foolishness of this world to confound the wise. That he would have people that are poor, destitute, people that are from the ghetto, separated families, people with high school dropouts, okay? People that didn't even make it to high school. I'm going to bring my light through these same people so that no one can say that it was through this world's education. That Son of Man is being revealed to the point where they're telling on themselves now. I'm reading this. I'm celebrating. I'm like, well, okay. Leak report. Israel acknowledges Jews, in fact, are cause. Well, guess what? That's no news to me. But maybe it will be news to some of these pastors we'll speak to these coming months. Right? Come on, other lawyer.
Verse 4, who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called God, or that is worshipped, so that he as God sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. Remember ye not that when I was yet with you I told you these things. And now ye know what withholdeth, that he might be revealed in his time. For the mystery of iniquity.
Listen, it says that he may be revealed in his time. So some people would ask, well, why is it's just coming out now? All this time and no one knew? Right? It says so that he can be revealed in his time. The Most High was going to make a perfect time for this information to come and reveal to the world who the real children of Israel are in this earth, and use those people to identify the sons of perdition as a sign before Christ is coming. Read.
Verse 7, for the mystery of iniquity doeth already work.
It tell you that. Paul says, don't look for a man to come in the future. It's not just speaking of one man. He's giving you a clue here. The mystery of iniquity doeth already work. So the one that you'll be looking for in the future as an antichrist, Paul is saying he's working now. They're in charge. So if you look at the mystery of iniquity doeth already work and say, well, okay, well, who was ruling during the time of Paul, during the time of Christ and the disciples? The Caesars, the Romans. So that same bloodline of rulers, brothers and sisters, are still established in the earth as our modern day leaders. They just changed their names, but it's the same bloodlines. And now, instead of it being some type of what you would call tyrannical monarchy, it's what? Government. See? It's president or prime minister. It's Senate. It's Congress. It's the republic. But all of these seats, the high seats that lead all governments, are bloodline Romans. All of them. So when I say Donald Trump won't make a difference, of course they don't make a difference. The Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, the DuPonts. Okay? Even George Soros. Yeah, he's Amalek, but he's low on the totem pole. The people we're talking about, brothers and sisters, the population will never see publicly. That's part of their deception. It's not to be seen. Right? But we can identify those who are operating as their front men. Okay? And bring that knowledge to our brothers and sisters and those who need truth. Come on, Elder Lawyer, come on.
For the mystery of iniquity doeth already work. Only he who now letteth will let until he be taken out of the way.
And soon they'll be taken out of the way. And you know what? It's already begun. It's already begun. The Bible tells us, let's go, surely our fathers haven't heard it last. Get there, Jeremiah 16:19. It's already began. What's going on? As we begin to wake up from our amnesia, our deep sleep, and grab hold to our true identity and purpose and the truth concerning Christ our Lord and Savior. The more we grasp this, brothers and sisters, what happens? As we're coming up and rising, they are coming down. That's what's going on. Let's read it. Come on.
The book of Jeremiah, chapter 16, verse 19. O Lord, my strength and my fortress, and my refuge in the day of affliction.
In my day of affliction, read.
The Gentiles shall come unto thee from the ends of the earth.
The Gentiles shall come unto thee from the ends of the earth.
And shall say, surely our fathers have inherited lies.
Eventually the Gentiles will come to us and say, you know what? Our schools lied to us. Our religious institutions lied to us. Surely, it says, surely our fathers, read it again.
Surely our fathers have inherited lies.
So a lot of these people who think they're Jews and Israelites or Christians or whatever they call themselves, to some degree it's not their fault. They've been taught the lie. Their father was taught the lie. One guy, I'm going to read it here in the article, says, well, Jewish, I've always been Jewish. My fathers were Jewish. Well, that's the problem. There's no such thing as Jewish people in the Bible as God's people. You should have looked up the meaning for the word Jewish. Okay? I'm looking at this cup. It's bluish, kind of blue. I'm looking at it. Well, it's kind of blue. Just the word itself begs questions. Bluish, reddish, or this-ish, or hold up, that means you're not pure in it? But the question is, if you are not the Jews, if you're not the Israelites, then who is? Who is? Now, like I said in other presentations when I was speaking, this is not about boasting. To whom much is given, much is required. Once you receive the knowledge of yourself and begin to follow the law and understand your position of power, yes, you brothers and sisters have a position of power. It's your responsibility now to guide the earth. Okay? To teach not just who's in your household and get that together first, but also we will teach the world. Nothing wrong with that. I know some people out there, oh, what's going on? He must be talking about Chinese people or white people. He's just a white lover. Listen, I don't understand some of these observations. How did we learn what we learned? We went to their schools and they taught us. Okay? That's what happens. Who's ever in charge teaches the world. Okay? That's wisdom. So when Christ set up a kingdom to establish it and set up positions of establishment, we're going to order the nations. And we're going to give them law and say this is how you operate within your borders. And once a year, you come up and you acknowledge our king. Okay? That's what it's about, setting things in order. Because what? It tell you the Gentiles going to come to us and say, surely our fathers have inherited lies. Well, if you've been lied to, guess who must teach you? The liars can't teach you. Read it again.
Jeremiah chapter 16, verse 19.
Come on.
O Lord, my strength and my fortress, and my refuge in the day of affliction. The Gentiles shall come from the ends of the earth and shall say.
Say what?
Surely our fathers have inherited lies.
Surely our fathers have inherited lies.
Vanity.
Vanity.
And the things wherein there is no profit.
And things wherein there is no profit. We have learned all this for nothing. Nothing we have learned prepared us for the kingdom to come. It was all vanity. It was all about consumerism and just getting some stuff. It was a bunch of lies. We were taught to hate you. We were taught that we were better than you. We were taught that we were God's people. We thought that you were Hamites. That's what the preacher said. They inherited lies. Let me show you the biggest lie. And it's this one Jewish guy. His name is Gable. He was doing World War II. He says, listen, in order for us to execute a lie and have the people believe it, it must be what? A big, grand lie. You can't do small lies. They pick that apart. It must be so big, people will examine it and say, well, this can't be a lie. Look how big that is. Like the Twin Towers. If you still believe 19 guys with box cutters hijacked a plane and flew into some buildings, okay? If you believe that, like I said before, I'm selling the Schuylkill River for a very low price. Okay, you can have it dirt cheap. All right? And then a passport, a magic passport, went through all, even the concrete was incinerated to powder. But a magical passport floated on the top of the debris so they'll know who hijacked the plane. Listen, they couldn't find no bodies nowhere. I'm like, you know what? If I'm on a plane, I want a suit made out of that passport paper you got there. Anything that can get ejected out of a plane and not get burned. Listen, I want a full suit like that, right? They know. Check it out. You ready, Elder Lawyer? Leak report. Israel acknowledges Jews, in fact, are causes. Secret plan for reverse migration to the Ukraine. Now, mind you, when they took that boat as a photo op, claiming in 1948 that the Jews have been restored into Israel, the state of Israel. When they did this, brothers and sisters, guess who were on the plane? I mean, who was on the ships? People from the Ukraine, from Belgium, people from the UK, people from Germany. So they claimed that this was a place where Jewish people could have a place because there was no place for Jewish people. When Jewish people were ruling everything, they were ruling America and everything. They didn't need no place. They had people from Ukraine, just anybody that could go there that claimed to be Jews to do what? To set up a United States colony within the Middle East. And then they'll make you believe that Arabs came up with the car bombs and the bombing churches and all that. They make you believe that, don't they? Every time you think of an Arab, oh, look at little towel heads. They like to blow up stuff. Do you know that the first terrorist bomb that went off in Israel was planted by a Jewish man? It was at the King David Hotel. Okay? Rahm Emanuel's father right out admitted it in Israel on a documentary that they won't show you in the United States. What he did, he dressed up like an Arab, and he had to make sure a lot of British people were in the lobby, because he was trying to send a message so that the British and the Europeans could get behind Israel to do what? To finance their arms in the Middle East. So they said we needed to kill a lot of our own people, including the British. So he went in the back of the restaurant dressed like an Arab, so everybody thought he was an Arab, put the bomb there, blew up the hotel, and it was plastered all over the United States that the Arabs killed off Jewish people in a hotel as a terrorist act, the first terrorist act. Rahm Emanuel, who's the mayor of Chicago, his father executed the first bombing in the Middle East. Now, what does that tell you? You can't believe anything they tell you concerning a bombing. Let's go. Leaked report. Israel acknowledges, in fact, causes secret plan for reverse migration to the Ukraine. Come on.
I'll start from there. It
Yes.
says Russian and Ukrainian correspondents Hersh Ostapoler and I.Z. Grosser Spas also contributed to this story, delayed due to the crisis over the Crimean referendum.
Come on.
Followers of the Middle Eastern affairs know two things: always expect the unexpected. Always expect the unexpected.
Always expect the unexpected. Now, this article was released in Israel. You would have never read this within the United States or in England. Go on.
And never write of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who has more political lives than the proverbial cat.
Come on.
Only yesterday came news that Syrian rebels plan to give Israel the Golan Heights in exchange for creation of a no-fly zone against the Assad regime. In an even bolder move, it is now revealed that Israel will withdraw its settlers from communities beyond the settlement blocks and relocate them, at least temporarily, to Ukraine. Ukraine has made this arrangement on the basis of historic ties in exchange for desperately needed military assistance against Russia. The surprising turn of events had an even more surprising origin: genetics, a field in which Israeli scholars have long excelled.
So now it's going into genetics. Why is the Ukraine opening up vast land masses, to allow Jewish people to come over or back to the Ukraine? I thought that 1948 was welcoming Jewish people, right? Now it opens up a can of worms. It opens up this discussion that's going on in the Middle East with even Israel scholars. Even Israel scholars are saying, we are not the people. A warlike Turkic people, a mystery. Read it, Elder Lawyer.
Yes, sir. It is well known that sometime in the 8th to 9th centuries, the Khazars, a warlike Turkic people, converted to Judaism and ruled over a vast domain in what became southern Russia and Ukraine. What happened to them after the Russians destroyed that empire around the 11th century has been a mystery.
What happened to the Khazars? They were so great in power and influence, they couldn't have just disappeared, right? Read.
Many have speculated that the Khazars became the ancestors of the Ashkenazi Jews.
Many have speculated, now this is in the Israeli time. Many have speculated that the Khazars became the ancestors of Ashkenazi Jews. Now I need y'all to check that out for a moment, because most people claim that the Jewish people are Japheth based on them being Ashkenaz, or one of the sons of Japheth named Ashkenaz. Well, they wasn't labeled Ashkenazi until after the conversion of Khazaria between the 8th and 11th century. So that kills that Japhetic thing that they claim. Because they didn't become Ashkenazi Jews. Why? Because that area was actually conquered at one time in Russia and all that under Alexander the Greek's generals. They took over parts of Asia and all that. Okay? So, but they were still Romans and Greeks. They didn't convert back then. But later on, they were called the serpent people under what? Khazar. They were called the serpent people. Why? Based on their ancient religion, worshiping the Canaanite god. They were called the serpent people, right? And then there was a conversion. In that conversion, through that conversion, because of that landmass, that area was once owned by Ashkenazis, they renamed themselves Ashkenazi Jews. And I'm going to show you how they put it right in your face with this left-right paradigm. They'll call Germans Nazis, right? Oh, they bad guys. They burnt us. They're Nazis. Playing on the ignorance of the population. All of them renamed themselves Nazis through the conversion. Read on, Elder Lawyer. Come on.
It says, Arabs have long cited the Khazar hypothesis in attempts to deny a Jewish historical claim to the land of Israel. During the UN debate over Palestine partition, Chaim Weizmann responded sarcastically.
This is what he said sarcastically.
It is very strange. All my life I've been a Jew.
He says, all my life I've been a Jew. Surely your fathers haven't heard it lies. Come on.
Felt like a Jew.
I felt like a Jew.
And I now learn that I am a Khazar.
He says, but now I learned that I'm a Khazar? What's wrong with this? History tells us we must be the Jews. That's what history says. Now that's his story, not the Most High's. Come on.
In a more folksy vein, Prime Minister Golda Meir famously said, Khazar Shmazar, there is no Khazar people. I knew no Khazars in Kyiv or Milwaukee. Show me these Khazars of whom you speak.
Show me these Khazars of whom you speak. See, the reason why they're looking to dispute this, why? Because that raises a question. If you're not the Israelites, then who is? I seen some Negroes hollering on the corner not a few days ago. Who are they? Right? That leaves the open void, right? Come on.
It says, contrarian Hungarian ex-communist and scientist Arthur Kessler brought the Khazar hypothesis to a wider audience with the 13th tribe, 1976.
1976, he came with this book. That if these people are the Jews, there must be a 13th tribe. We know there's only 12. This was a Jewish, a well-known, renowned historian in the Jewish community until he published this record. Because if they're not the people, then how can now Jewish people gain sympathy from the Holocaust and gain power in arms in the Middle East as a protected people of God? It was totally throwing a wrench in their whole political agenda to destabilize the Middle East. Right? Come on.
It says, Arthur Kessler brought the Khazar hypothesis to a wider audience with the 13 tribes in the hope that disproving a common Jewish racial identity would end anti-Semitism.
Come on.
Clearly, that hope has not been fulfilled. Most recently, left-wing Israeli historian Shlomo Sands, the invention of the Jewish people, took Kessler's thesis in a direction he had not intended, arguing that because Jews were a religious community descended from converts, they do not constitute a nation or need a state of their own.
Because they're not Israelites, they shouldn't be in Israel. Who published this? A Jewish man in Israel. You will never read this in Philadelphia. Come on.
Scientists, however, dismissed the Khazar hypothesis because the genetic evidence did not add up. Until now, in 2012, researcher Iran Elhaik published a study claiming to prove that Khazar ancestry is the single largest element in the Ashkenazi gene pool. Sand declared himself vindicated, and progressive organs such as Haaretz and the Forward trumpeted the results.
Now, it's spoken amongst their scholars, right? And those that deal with genetics in Israel, that the Jewish people in Israel are not the biblical people, right? Now look what it says here. What it says there in quotations.
It says here, we're not talking about all the Ashkenazi Jews going back to Ukraine. Obviously, that is not practical.
They're saying we're going to have a number of them go back, but we can't have all of them go back. There's not enough room for all of them to go back. So what happened to the Jewish, what will happen to the Jewish people that stay? The 6 million Holocaust? See that? You have to know these scriptures and read between the line of what they're saying here. The Ukraine will open up enough land for some of us to come back. But there's no plans for the rest of us. That's not practical that we can all go. The Holocaust of the 6 million will happen in what they deem or coin World War III. Israel is going to be blown to hell and back, according to the word. Because it tell you in scriptures, when Christ returned, he's going to put us in the land that was brought back from the sword. That was brought back from war. What war? The war we are about to witness. Okay, Donald Trump made it clear what he's running on. And that's if he makes it to an inauguration. But it's no different than what Barack Obama ran on. Full support for the state of Israel. And to be complicit with the United States or either Israel launching launching missiles against Iran. Right? Now, when that happens, we know all hell gonna break loose. And while they fighting against each other, the Most High is gonna make ways for us to be safe in some of the same lands and the same areas we began to spread the gospel so that we'll all have a place. That's how it works. Causaria 2.0. One more point.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
All Jews who wish to return would be welcomed back without condition as citizens.
So now they can have not just dual citizenship, they can have tri-citizenship. They can be anywhere they want. All Jews who wish to return would be welcomed back without condition as citizens back to the Ukraine. Go on.
The more so if they take part in the promised infusion of massive Israeli military assistance, including troops, equipment, and construction of new bases. If the initial transfer works, other West Bank settlers would be encouraged to relocate to Ukraine as well. After Ukraine, bolstered by this support, reestablishes control over all its territory, the current autonomous Republic of Crimea would once again become an autonomous Jewish domain. The small-scale successor to the medieval empire of Khazaria, as the peninsula was once known, would be called in Yiddish Khazaria or Khazare. As you know, the spokesman continued, the Prime Minister has said time and again, we are a proud and ancient people whose history goes back 4,000 years. The same is true of the Khazars, just back in Europe and not quite as long. But look at the map. The Khazars did not have to live within Auschwitz borders.
See that? So what it's saying when it says the Khazars did not have to live within Auschwitz borders. They claim since there was a Holocaust in Auschwitz and they burned in ovens, there was needed a state of Israel to protect them with a land of their own. But when you look at the map, all of them could have lived without being within the borders of Auschwitz. So what are they over in the Middle East for? Like I said earlier, to destabilize the Middle East before they go back to Europe and use all the people that followed them to destabilize the Middle East as a sacrifice to their God. Right? Now, one other thing. And we're going to open up. One moment here. I got to check one thing here. The water. I had to check that real quick. So, the Bible tells us that while this is going on over in the Middle East, that we must prepare as a people while this is going on. We must prepare as many people as possible for the deluge, for what's about to go down, even for when the lights go out. We must deal with the preparation because while they are fighting against each other, the Most High is raising Israel. We must come together to protect ourselves and families through this last deluge. It's about to happen. Now let me go here real quick. Let's go back to Esdras, where it talks about their plan now that we know that we are Israel. Now that we figured this out. Now that we know they're Khazars and they're about to stand in their full power as Khazars, as Edomites, as Romans. They don't need to operate in the facade anymore. Because why? They were able, through their deception, to gain a world army at the very end. So now that they have military might and power and have dumbed down the population, they feel there's no need to hide their true intent anymore. There's no people out there that can actually stand against them. So now it's like, okay, we aren't Jews. So what? What can y'all do? What can y'all do now? I still have your children out fighting for me over in the Middle East and dying and not shedding one Jewish blood, one Jewish child's blood of my family. I'm still dumbing you down and controlling your schools. So now they coming straight out telling you who they are, knowing that there's no recourse that can be done physically against the people have been dumbed down, pacified, weakened. The men have been feminized. So now they can come straight out and say, well, you know what? Yes. You are the people. Now let's see if your God is going to save you. Right? Come on, let's read it, Elder Lawyer.
Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 2, verse 12. Therefore let us lie in wait for the righteous, because he is not for our turn, and he is clean contrary to our doings.
Come on.
He upbraideth us with our offending of the law.
So the reason they're sitting back examining us, not aright, they upset that we upbraided them concerning their law. We go into a restaurant and be like, excuse me, let me make this clear before we begin. There's a no pork table. No pork. Aren't you black? Don't you eat pig feet? So they get upset that we upbraided them concerning the law. We come straight out and say, according to the Bible, I don't care what you think is freedom. Homosexuality or sodomite impositions is against God. And you can say it's right, it's free, all you want, but at the end of that is a judgment. If you don't repent from that action, just like any sin, you're going to burn in hell. They don't like that. You can't judge me. Well, guess what? I'm not judging you. The Most High will. Okay? We can live and let live. Or they'll say things. Listen, it doesn't matter about the Bible as long as we are good people. Long as I'm a good person. Well, what foundation do we have to go on to determine that? Right. If you don't believe in the Bible, where did you figure out when did you figure out what a good person was or a bad person without a Bible? Right? Come on.
He upbraideth us with our offending of the law.
And it says they sit back and examine us and says they upbraideth us with us offending the law. We do. Read.
And objective to our infamy the transgressings of our education.
And we tell them how ridiculous their education is. They can claim that the universe been here for 2 billion years and can't tell me what happened to me 200 years ago. You understand? If you can pull that out of your behind some 30 billion years, right, you can sure enough tell me who I was in 70 AD. So we let them know how ridiculous their education is. Their education is not education at all. It's what they call social engineering. And you're paying for it. Social engineering. It's not education. Okay? Those are not schools. If you're going to educate me, first, let me know who's educating me. Who are you? I need to know your intentions. Who's your family? What you believe, because all that goes into their mindset and into the spirit of how they teach. Go on.
Verse 13.
Come on.
He professeth to have the knowledge of God.
So they sit back and examine us. When you read this in Wisdom of Solomon, the second chapter, it tells us their mindset and how they examine us privately when, in our absence. Read that last piece again.
He professeth to have the knowledge of God.
You got these black people claiming to be Jews. They profess that they got the knowledge. They didn't go to no school. They didn't go to any of our universities. Right? Read.
And he calleth himself the child of the Lord.
You know it's talking about us. Out of nowhere, without any of their education, we began to say and to state claim, emphatically state claim, that we are the children of Israel. And then on top of that saying, you Khazars. You're not the people. You've been lying. Right? So they're like, okay, they found out they're the people. So according to this prophecy, once they find out, this prophecy come next. Because if they believe they're the people, they'll begin to follow the Bible and not us. So now we must plan against this. Don't forget, if they're controlling the narrative, if they're controlling the whole understanding, even if they can control how we think, then they can control us from what? From cradle to grave. But there's an anomaly. What if these people find out? Right? Instead of them adding a brick to our tower, they'll be pulling a brick out. What can we do against these people? Because they're not going to just stop with just believing they're Israel themselves. They're going to tell others. Right? So it tells you, the Bible tells us in the Wisdom of Solomon what their next plan is once we find out. What their next step is. Read.
Verse 14.
Come on.
He was made to reprove our thoughts.
And guess what? A lot of you don't know why you were made or created. Well, it tell you right there. They know why you were made. It says right there that the wicked sit and examine us and say, these people were made to reprove our what?
Our thoughts.
Our thoughts. They were made to correct us. They were made to correct us. Read.
Verse 15.
Come on.
He is grievous unto us, even to behold.
We can't stand them. We hate them. Why? Because we don't have to go to them for anything. Now we can go around them. They're useless. They can't teach us nothing. Now they sitting back and saying, you know what? We can't stand them. They're messing up our game. They're destroying our whole game. Okay? Come on.
Verse 15.
Yes.
He is grievous unto us, even to behold.
We can't stand them. Read.
For his life is not like other men's.
His life are not like other men. These people, these chosen people of God who are in this Bible, they're not operating like heathen. Right? See, and by that alone, they're measuring themselves with us and coming up short. Now, when they had us sinning, they always had, to some degree, a moral high ground because they forced us to sin. We were sinning, they were sinning. But now that we're doing what's right, they're looking at themselves and saying, "There's something wrong with me?" And we're looking at them saying, "Well, yes, something is wrong with you."
Right.
Come on.
For his life is not like other men's.
His life are not like other men. Read on.
His ways are of another fashion.
His ways are of another fashion. And you can only be of another fashion if you're following the laws, statutes, and commandments contained in the book. Every other nation is following some other record, and they're heathens. They eat what they want. They do what they want. They're immoral. They're out of control. Well, guess what? We were made to put them in order. Okay? So now they're looking at this and saying, well, if they can start correcting us, where does this lead us? Our power of authority. If they're not listening to us no more, what good are they? Now the next phase of their plan. Well, if they're not listening to us, maybe we should kill them. It won't work for us. They're starting to realize that they were made morally and spiritually better than us. Well, I guess we have to kill them. Well, how can we kill them? There's too many of them. If they get together, too many. They'll beat us. Well, not really. If we can convince them to first kill themselves. Okay, this is how it works. So don't think these lawmakers are sitting around some table someplace talking to each other about traffic lights. Okay? And about what law that's going to make it right, for society. No, they're talking about depopulation. What happens when the construct that we set for a certain number of people get overrun by people who are not following the program? The whole system will topple on itself if we're not controlling it. Right? Read on.
Verse 16. We are esteemed of him as counterfeits.
And it tell you that they said, this is what they're thinking. They're calling us phonies. They're calling us counterfeits, fake Jews. Well, not just us. Based on what I'm reading here, Jewish scholars in Israel are saying the same thing. Have been saying it since 1976. The problem is, none of this was taught in my school in elementary. I was in elementary in 76. No one told me that I was an Israelite according to the Bible. One of my teachers was Jewish, was a Khazar. Read that last piece again. Come on.
We are esteemed of him as counterfeits.
He says, now they've awakened. They're calling us phony. Read.
He abstaineth from our ways as from filthiness.
And we abstain from their ways as filthiness. That's true. A lot of you are looking at this garbage that they got, that Pizzagate thing they got out there, and that's a total distraction. They turned the story to some one dude in a pizza shop when it's all of DC pedophiles and homosexuals and doing what's evil. They got you focused on a pizza shop. So it's us coming out and saying, well, listen, the Romans were always this way. The Romans had markets you can go purchase little boys, little girls. They were always like this. They don't like the fact that God's people are blowing the trumpet. That we're telling them, listen, your ways are wrong. You're a grown man. Get a woman. Okay? You're a woman. Get a man. Have a family. They don't like that. So now what is their plan? Read.
He pronounceth the end of the just to be blessed.
And we pronounce the end of the just to be blessed. Even though we're going to go through Jacob's trouble, Israel makes it. We make it. And guess what? I thank the Most High that the generation after us will know more than us.
That's right.
Okay? I thank the Most High. Come on.
It maketh his boast that God is his Father.
And we do make a boast that the Most High God is our Father. And another reason, they feel in a certain type of way now. Because they never thought that we would find the Most High's name. They've been calling Yahweh and Yahweh the whole time. knowing right out, even the Jewish powers and the Jewish rabbis will tell you behind closed doors that Yahweh is the calf of Baal. And then they'll try to throw a little slick thing in there by saying, well, no one can actually say his name in public. That's taking his name in vain. I have a book here, right? Look at this. The Illuminati 2 by Henry Mankow. Jewish people put this together, right? In the book, now don't tell me they're not looking at our videos, okay? This book was published 2010, okay? In the book itself, grab that for me, Lord, you know where it is. In the book itself, they reveal the true name of the Most High and tell you that the Illuminati God is Yahweh. In the book. So we profess not only is God our Father, but we are the only few on earth, that small remnant that's actually exalting his name and proclaiming his name throughout the earth. It's as if this guy took one of our videos in a private office somewhere and began to print and publish it. Read it, Elder Lawyer. Take your time. No, you get your water first, sir. It's fine. No problem. Read it right there.
This is Illuminati 2.
Start where it says God's real name.
Right, this is page 130.
And we didn't know these people. Let's make it clear. I'm going to tell you, the Most High revealed his name. And I'm going to tell you right now, when we first were about to teach it, we were hesitant with it. Because what happens when you say a name that no Hebrew anywhere is saying? What happens? Automatically there's a division. Even though we can agree on the slave ships, we can agree on the oppression, what's been done to us. But now if we tell you not only that God, that the Most High's name was given to Moses, and tell you what it is, and then in turn tell you what the God we believe was our God, who that is, boy, we're going to get a lot of backlash. Me and Zah looked at each other. I'm like, you know what, brother? Who's on the camera? Hit record. And the Most High, believe it or not, it's people in Russia being baptized in the name of a Hayabah Shemir Shia Warwa. Okay? Read it.
It says here, God's real name. The demonic disdain for humanity exhibited by the Luciferian Jew, Harold Rosenthal, typifies the end result of a lethal amalgamation. Jewish religious ritual combined with the worship of knowledge and self. The Jews as a people, by rejecting God and or accepting Jehovah, have been given over to a reprobate mind, being filled with all unrighteousness.
Now, Jehovah is the English translation for Yahweh or Jehovah. Right? Go on.
Of course, Mr. Rosenthal was a member of an elite, openly satanic minority among the Jewish people. Everyday Jews do not know that the God of their faith is in fact Satan, hidden behind a mystical name. It is of no consequence to Satan whether he is worshipped deliberately or through subtle lies and deceptions. The wise Solomon asked, what is God's name and what is his son's name, if thou can tell? Proverbs 30:4. God's name is Ahaya, sometimes translated Eye, meaning I am. This is the name given to Moses along with the law. And God said unto Moses, I am that I am. And he said, thus shalt thou say unto the children of Israel, I am have sent me unto you. This is my memorial unto all generations. I am the Lord thy God. Thou shalt have no other gods before me.
And you know what it says in Exodus? This is my name forever. Right? Now, exactly. Give the Most High name a round of applause. And that would make perfect sense. Right before the Most High deliver his people, like he did before, he would reveal himself. Common sense would have told anyone anywhere that Satan in charge, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He set up Khazars as his serpent people, that he would set up scribes to hide the name that freed Israel in ancient Egypt. Common sense would tell you that. So you mean to tell me he lied with the schools? I'm talking about the son of perdition. He lied with our churches. He lied with our institutions of education. But he was going to tell the truth concerning the Most High's name? No. Now in the Illuminati book, which is exposing Illuminati, give you the Illuminati God's name. And the person came right out and said the Most High's name and spelled it correctly. And then on top of that, through the Spirit of the Most High, he also revealed his son's name, Yeshua, which is what? Savior. That's something that you would never hear amongst Hebrews or amongst Israelites, period. But that's also written in the Dead Sea Scrolls. And I want to put this out. You cannot look at the English or Greek for the translation of Christ's name, because Christ was not a Greek. So if you see people putting up the name Jesus or Yehoshua or whatever they want to put up there and try to say, well, it should be this in Hebrew, they are incorrect. His name is Savior. If you go into the Hebrew throughout the whole Old Testament and look at save and Savior, it'll give you his name. And all the prophecies concerning Christ, it will give you his name through the whole Old Testament. I wanted to put that out there. Let's end it with in Esdras real quick. Almost done. A few more minutes. Come on. Yes, Wisdom of Solomon.
Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 2, verse 17.
Showing you what the elite are saying.
Verse 17. Let us see if his words be true.
Let us see if his words be true. That's what the elite are saying. Let's see if what they're teaching will come to pass. Read.
And let us prove what shall happen in the end of him. For if the just man be the Son of God,
if they are truly the children of Israel,
he will help him.
Then the Most High will help them. Now, why would they even make that disclaimer? If they're not planning to do something that would lead to us needing help. If they're God's people, let's see what we're setting up against them. And let's examine whether or not their God will save them out of it. Come on.
And deliver him from the hand of his enemies.
And he will deliver them from the hand of his enemies. Now we know that we are in Jacob's trouble. We've been in this war a long time, but this war is about to ramp up to the next level now that we know. Now that we know, what are we doing? We're protecting our children now. We're not getting those vaccines no more. We're not listening to those doctors who've been killing us. We're not killing ourselves. We're not pulling out guns and shooting each other no more. See that? So now the enemy will now publicly begin to make us enemies. They're going to, like I said before, they're going to more so start labeling brothers and sisters as domestic terrorists. More and more. Come on.
Verse 18. For if he be just.
If he be just. That means if he follow what he been preaching. See, there's a difference. There's a lot of people with knowledge and understanding. But in order to be protected by the Most High, you must now follow and walk in what you believe, because they're going to test it. They're going to test it to see if you're really with the Most High. And if you are sinning, it's a wrap. Come on.
For if the just man be the son of God,
If
he will
they
help
be
him.
the son of the Most High, he will what?
He will help him
He will help him.
and deliver him from the hand of his enemies.
Come on.
Let us examine him with despitefulness and torture.
Let's examine him with what?
Despitefulness and torture.
Despitefulness and torture. We're going to torture them. Read.
That we may know his meekness and prove his patience. Let us condemn him with a shameful death.
Let us condemn him with a what?
With a shameful death.
With a shameful death. That's their plans.
For by his own saying he shall be respected.
By his own saying he shall be respected. Well, if that's your God that delivered you out of Egypt, well, let's see if he's going to deliver you out of Babylon, out of our hands. That's what they're planning. So it's really imperative that we as God's people, if there's dark areas that need correction, that we begin to work on those things and correct it. Because they're going to do exactly what the scriptures say they're planning. Okay? Guess what? The powers that be, they religiously worship and honor Satan. A lot of them are more faithful to their God than we are to ours. They come in full board. And the only way we'll be saved from this and through this is to follow what's in that book, have our eyes in that book, and following this word. Come on.
Verse 21. Such things they did imagine and were deceived.
Such things they imagined and were what?
Were deceived.
And were deceived.
For their own wickedness have blinded them. As for the mysteries of God, they knew them not.
See that? Because they believe that they will actually accomplish our extermination. They're so focused on their disdain against us, they have counted out the God who made us. Praise the Most High. Well, the brother, he's about to come up. But I want to say this to you, brothers and sisters, who've been operating with this church for a while. You understand that I came here just to tell you, brothers and sisters, I'm going to talk to you all one-on-one, but we really need you all to stay encouraged, not to get discouraged, to let no one take your crown or dissuade you. Don't let no one try to waver you. And I'm speaking to Jews, the Israelites, and Gentiles alike. You stay on the path to the end. We're going to, guess what? As we come closer to the end with this truth, brothers and sisters, we're going to suffer a lot of blows with their plans against us. But we must stand. We must stay encouraged. We must help each other. The Bible says, if someone ask you to go 1 mile, go twain. We're going to have to be there for each other. So through this, being that I'm here and near to Philadelphia, and this is the place where we all began, if it be the Most High's will, I want to spend more time with you all and help work with you all and help build the ministry the Most High have within you to finish it, right? We want to support your departments. If you're making things and if you're developing things and you have a gift, we want to make sure that the elders and the brothers throughout the world and sisters throughout the world, your extended family, know of your works so that we can support each other. Okay? So we're going to be spending some time together. All right? Now, before we begin, because I'm going to turn it over with the elders there. Do y'all have any questions for myself and Elder Lawyer before you? I know you're so used to seeing us on the academy side of things. If not, then I'll turn it over. Yes, sir. A good question. What's your name, brother? Leonard, the brother I talked to today. Somebody's on the camera there or what? My brother, help. The brother is speaking. All right, go on. Now let me ask you, why are you asking that question? When did I begin my journey? Good question, brother. Give me your name again here. Leonard. Leonard, I'm sorry. Good question. Now that I look back at it and I reflect back, I know that the Most High was always there. So when someone say when it began, right? I realized through certain intervals growing up, all the way up until this point, I realized he was there the whole time. That's number one. Also, in the dark moments of when there was sin, when things were wrong, I was able to experience that feeling of a void, of a void, of something missing,
Right.
like waiting for judgment, right?
Right.
But the whole deal was this. In a nutshell, and I hope this answers your question. When you called to do this truth, there's certain choices you have to make. And you know plainly what you must let go. That's the struggle.
Right.
Usually when you have to let go, it's the status you've acquired all your life before everyone that know you. So then, you understand? So you have to deal with sacrificing your status and everyone believing that you're out of your mind.
Okay.
Right?
Right.
Then you have to deal with the faith part of, okay, how am I going to be taken care of? Usually that's what it is. Satan, really, he operates in the spirit of socialism. He's willing to give you just enough for what you need to serve him. No sooner as you begin to serve the Most High and have to make that choice, that tough choice to walk away,
Right.
well, Satan is going to begin to pull back all that he provided for you.
Yeah. And that's exactly what happened.
Hold up. Including people that you thought loved you. You really don't know your friend and who your family is until everything is stripped from you. Because your real family and friends will be there through your transition. Brother, I went through a very dark point. And when I went through that point, it wasn't too many people standing.
Right.
And then the Most High was there, though. And I'm sitting there crying. I'm going through all types of indecisions. Like, what can I do with all this that I know? Am I worthy to do it?
Right. Exactly.
And the Most High was like, listen, I didn't bring you to this point so that you could be crying. I brought you to this point for a mission. Stand up and do what you've learned. Go out on the street and preach, and I'll take it from there.
Okay.
You understand?
Thank you. Thank you. I understand.
So then everything on that road, after letting things go, I knew it was the Most High.
Right.
Because he was only on the road of his mission. So that's when my family, I realized who my family were and my friends were. When I was sitting behind a desk somewhere in a corporate office, I had all these people that I thought were friends.
Right.
When I was dealing with certain levels of talent that could mean that somebody else benefit, I thought those were my friends.
Okay.
No, brother, you find your friend when you serve the Most High and look around and see who's standing.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
That was my point. I don't want to go into stories and all that, but that's the whole thing.
Right.
Satan will put you in a place where, brother, you feel that you're not worthy to say anything based on some of the things you've done wrong.
Right. Condemnation.
No, but guess what? When I read the scriptures, I'm like, hey, Christ's blood was shed for that. And if Christ don't hold me accountable to what I did wrong, I'm free to serve in total purity and truth without having that darkness be over me based on my past sins.
Okay.
You understand?
Sir, I do.
So listen to what the scriptures is saying here real quick.
Ecclesiasticus chapter 2, verse 1. The
Yes.
Apocrypha. My son, if thou come to serve the Lord, prepare thy soul for temptation. Set thy heart aright and constantly endure, and make not haste in the time of trouble.
So when you come to serve the Most High, he's going to bring you low, and he's going to make sure there's trouble. The trouble is not what you've created. Okay? Right. The trouble comes with the things that you thought belonged to you.
Okay.
Be it family, be it materialism, whatever.
Okay.
Now the Most High is going to strip you first. And then, at one point, he'll have you in the room questioning your own sanity.
Yeah, that was happening for
like,
quite a while.
well, hold up. People are going to think I'm crazy. People, it don't work this way. But Christ's way is not the world's way.
Okay.
If Christ was living in this earth today, walking with 12 men, operating with no cares of this world, talking about the kingdom, he would be diagnosed with a mental illness.
Yeah, yeah.
You understand?
Okay.
Read it.
Cleave unto him, and depart not away, that thou mayest be increased at thy last end.
So it's that point that you know you're going to lose everything. That you must cleave to the Most High and say, you know what? I'm having total faith in you with this, because if this fail, I have nothing. That's when you know the Most High is with you. That's the point he's been waiting for. He was waiting for you to depend on him.
Right, right. Now,
That's what he's been waiting for.
Right.
And then, at that point, your mission begins. You don't fear no one. You don't care what nobody think, because they wasn't in that room.
Mm-hmm.
They wasn't there when you were dealing with what you were dealing with. They wasn't there when everyone turned their back on you.
Right.
You understood who was there. It was Christ.
Right.
You understand?
Understand.
He was there. When all my friends, people I love, my family, all of that. Right. Guess who was there? Through my darkest times, Christ was there. And brother, I felt the Spirit. I felt his presence.
Yeah,
and guess what? Through the Holy Spirit, he have taught me.
Yeah, same here.
You understand?
Yes,
so, brother, you have to operate in boldness, operate with the church, and do your ministry with those of like mind. Anyone else, real quick?
Shalom, family.
Shalom, how are you?
Donnell Kelly, Tribe of Judah, Nation of Israel. I just wanted to personally thank you, Elder Lawyer and Elder Rakab, because, man, this truth saved my life. I was living reckless out there, man. I was really, I came into the truth this year. and I haven't been baptized yet, and I'm waiting for that opportunity. I appreciate the whole body. I appreciate all our elders, our deacons, all the whole family, because I was lost out there. I was losing it, and I wasn't somebody who didn't know anything. I just chose not to listen in a lot of things. And when I first heard y'all videos, I knew it was the truth. And I studied many different religions. My wife would tell you, and she was always an avid believer in Christ. And it came to a point where I almost turned Muslim because I just couldn't understand completely. And y'all brothers, what brought me straight forward is because y'all answer all the questions that nobody else can answer. And I'm humbled. I'm grateful. I'm grateful to the Most High. I'm grateful to Yeshaya. I'm grateful to my wife because she was the she was the backbone. She was the backbone. You know what I'm saying? I would have destroyed our family, but she held it down. So I got to get that shout out, and I'm shouting y'all out, man, because y'all keep doing what y'all doing. Y'all got that truth. We got that truth. The name of Ahaya, that's his name, and I can't wait to be baptized. Thank you.
All praises be to the Most High.
Shalom, elders, brothers and sisters.
Shalom.
I wasn't gonna say anything, but you brought out a lot of key points, and I guess the Spirit's working. But one of the things that you said is, working on things that we're missing. So I'll go back to tabernacles, because all tabernacles, I was just searching for a sign, like the Most High show me what I'm missing in this walk, and Jacob seeketh a sign. So I'm trying to have that here I am moment, but I didn't get that. But when I got home, the sisters at the church had my son draw like a fruit. And when I shut the refrigerator door, I seen that fruit of the spirit tree in front of my face, and a voice came to me and said, so I said, fruits of the spirit, okay. I know what the fruits of the spirit is, but I didn't know what the fruits of the spirit is. Friday, Elder Amav talked about joy. And he talked about like how an old Christian woman in the church has that joy and has that love, has that passion. That happens, she still has that joy. So began my search on following the fruits of the spirit and understanding.
Yeah, that's good. Right there. Go ahead. That's good.
Yeah. So from there, basically what you're saying is that when we came into the truth, we found the laws of the Most High. We found the Sabbaths, the holy days, the dietary laws, just following the laws of the Most High as he set forth. But as I grew to understand the Holy Spirit, she has her own laws as well. So now we're at that point to where we know the laws of the Most High. We got to embody the laws of the Holy Spirit so we can have that power from on high, like Luke 24:49. And I think that's what, even as a body, that we could be missing. I know that's what the Spirit showed me. That's what I'm missing. That's what I'm working on right now, the discipline, the obedience of her laws, because I'm following the Most High's laws. But the love, the wisdom, and the love the Most, we have to love and we have to follow her laws. So I was just saying that, maybe that's something that we all get together and, try and spread amongst the church within the doctrine of Christ, because that's what he taught his. That's why he said they didn't get power until Acts 2. After he left, they had to figure that out. So I feel that we're that upon us to get. I just want to know what your opinion was on the Holy Spirit dwelling within us through her laws.
Well, that is a good point. And the whole deal is the Holy Spirit cannot abide where there's sin. So there's stages. You understand? There's a lot of struggle we have as a people coming out of the world, and even in the church, we still deal with struggles. And when you look in the book of Acts, the 2nd chapter, they was all of one mind, one spirit. It was sin-free. So it first start with the confessing our faults, understanding our shortcomings, and being able to talk about it when we're going through something. and then pray together and operate together and show love towards one another. And we're on our way. We're there. We're on our way, brother, because what you're saying is the next phase. Is what we were talking about while I was in New York. You understand? Based on what's going on, we're going to need some real spiritual intervention to get through what's about to happen. So that is the next step. The next step is now that we're operating sin-free, show that love one towards another, start operating in that spirit, not begrudging, not hatred, not scoffers, not being brutish, operating with the Spirit of Christ now amongst us so that he can and the Holy Spirit can live amongst us to show that power. Christ was able to raise Lazarus because based on the love he had for Lazarus. He cried and wept because he loved him. That's the power that raised the dead.
The water, elder.
So, brother, you right on. That's what it is. And this is what I'm going to, and on that, that's what, I think I didn't go into detail when I said that we must stay focused and not deal with these distractions. We can't control what other people think and what's going on out there in the internet world and what's going on. This power must operate amongst us. We must focus inwardly and find that spirit amongst those who have made the same choice we've made. That's what I mean by no distractions and all that. The disciples, they were in one place, one mind, one spirit. They were together. It wasn't Pharisees. It wasn't scribes. It wasn't naysayers. That's the distraction that's keeping us from getting to the point you're talking about. We need to focus on that Holy Spirit and the fruits of the Spirit. And you know what? We're going to get there, brother. We're going to do it together. All right. Yes.
Shalom, family.
Shalom.
All praises be unto Ahaya Bahashim Yeshaya, or Rawak. My name is Tarlo from the tribe of Judah, nation of Israel. I came here with my wife and my children. We commuted here, on the SEPTA from Southwest. We had got lost. The adversary wanted us not to make it here. Several times we got lost to and fro. And I was speaking with the Deacon Ray. And, the Spirit just kept me, strong to come here. I just want to give all praises to Ahaya on that note. But I had got baptized last July. Well, this going July down south in the GOCC South. It was just a trip I took with my cousin to, just to see about the music event. Ended up getting baptized. Maybe a week or two after my baptism, I started noticing, the Holy Spirit would be like on me because when I was commuting to work, I'd be on the public transportation, the SEPTA bus, and the Spirit would just compel me just to, right now, you have to drop it right now, let the people know who they are. So I would let the people know. I wouldn't lash at them. I would just talk to them and say, well, the Negroes, the Latinos, we are the children of Israel. We have to come back to Christ. We have to get baptized for the remission of sin. We have to follow the law, statutes, and commandments. And the Holy Spirit kept making me do this for about maybe a month straight. Then they started sending the police. The cops started following my routes. They put an ABP out on me. They were like, well, there's this young man, he's going through the public transportation, talking about God. And every morning he would tell people. I had this one Edomite lady jump in my face, and she said she died, that God does not exist, And right after she hopped off the train, she almost walked off the platform, walking in the wrong direction. So that was the spirit of Satan right there. But I just wanted to give all praises to the Most High. My wife is looking to get baptized. I brought my whole family here. I didn't let the adversary stop me. This is the Most High. Most High is calling on my life. And I just want to thank you, Elder Ricard, Elder Lawyer, the whole house, the whole body. It's one body, and that's in Christ. The body has different members doing different jobs, but it's all one body of Christ. And I just want to give all praises to the Most High God because he woke us up. All praises.
Thank you, brother. Before we go there was a sister that had her hand raised right there, right? Yeah, she had her hand raised before a lot of others. No, right here. Real quick.
Shalom.
Shalom.
My name is Carolyn, and I contacted Elder More. I can't hardly say their name. Yes, and I contacted them. I've been looking at the Gathering of Christ Church for a year. I walked out of churches because I just knew something wasn't right, and I just kept. But I believe in the Most High, and I was blessed. I took a chance. I took the chance. I said, yeah, well, I'm going to contact these people, and I'm going to connect myself with the people of God. You know, I've been observing the Sabbath. This is about the third time I did it, but I always did it by myself, by the teachings. And last week, at the end of the Sabbath, on Sunday, my kids came over my house. And I was able to share some of this truth with them, and the reaction that I got from them, I know that I'm on the right path. You know, and I that's all I wanted was the truth. All I ever wanted was the truth, and like I was blessed to come down here and see y'all sitting here today. I really did not know what I was walking into, but to see y'all sit up there, I was just flabbergasted. So like, and, my question is, so, you know, me and my kids talk. I got grown kids. You know, I got jungle bunnies. I got like, they are you know, and I gotta be patient and. The conversation came up about some of the families in the Bible, you know, that it was this one family, and they committed suicide. They was being attacked by the Romans, and they had them in the caves, and then like even the Indians, some of the Indians on the reservation today, they commit suicide. How do the Most High view it? Like we do it, this do or die now. It's like do or die. It's like ride or die. You know, and sometimes my kids feel like that. They feel like that, you know, and. We wanted
You
to
mean
know,
your children felt like?
how do the Most High feel about, you know, being oppressed under this wickedness, and the only option that they, you know, some of these families had was to commit. Even the Indians, some
All
of them
right, okay.
Indians on the reservation, they committed suicide.
Well, let me read it for you. Read it.
This is Wisdom of Solomon,
Yeah,
chapter
get
1,
that.
verse 12.
That is a good question. That when you are oppressed and dealing with much evil and imposition against you, is suicide justifiable? Well, number one, suicide is being pushed within our society regularly. It's to a point where you can't even listen to a TV commercial concerning some crazy drug they got out there that is without suicide thoughts as a side effect. The thought of suicide, even the thought of it, is evil. It's wicked. The thought of it is evil. It's no faith. So, what is the answer to that? That at one point, suicide wasn't an option for us. Read it real quick.
Wisdom of Solomon 1 and 12 through 16. Seek not death in the era of your life.
Seek not death in the era of your life. Things are not working out. Something went wrong, or you did something wrong, or things are not right. Read.
And pull not upon yourselves destruction with the works of your hands.
See, Don't use your hands to kill yourself. That's a law. Your redemption or your answer could be tomorrow. But how would you ever figure that out if you ice yourself today? It's no faith. That's a sure way. That's a sure way for hell. Suicide, you go into torments. You go directly to hell. So that's not an option. We have to have faith. We're going to go through some tough times. So what if so if that was the answer, what do you think is going to happen? Man, it's about to get rough out here with Jacob's trouble. And our option is, okay, let everybody kill themselves? No, we lean on the Most High. We find a strength that we didn't know exists. That's what's going to make us this people the Most High is talking about. This strong people. You understand? We don't choose the shortcut. Right? What's the next one here? Come on. Yes, brother. We'll take about 3 more and then we'll go forward. You next, sister.
Shalom, family.
Shalom, my brother.
My name is Ricky from the tribe of Judah. And when I first came to Philadelphia, I didn't have anywhere to stay. I was sleeping on a lazy boy chair, right? And I met my wife. She's over here tonight. She's from the tribe of she's a Benjamite, right? And she's the one told me, hit my knees, fast and pray. God will make a way for me. And since that, I met the guys up 33rd and Dolphin who put me on a path. Then I seen you guys. And all what you taught me, all what y'all been following for 8 years. And now, you brought me to the truth. I'm seeing like I'm all by myself. All my family, even my wife, they think I'm crazy. But I'm telling them, listen, what I'm into is the truth. And I ain't going no other way other than that. That's why I brought her tonight, so she can see for herself what the truth is and what really love is. Because every time I come here, I don't get nothing but love, and I love it. And I hope she can get it.
Hold up, brother. You said you were learning at 33rd and Dolphin.
I was at 33rd Dolphin when they told me I was from the tribe of Judah.
Do you know that when you were there, that I was there?
I didn't know that, Ricardo.
I was one of the brothers that actually built that building at 33rd and Dolphin.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a little bit more than 8 years ago, though. That building at the corner on 33rd and Dolphin,
Yes, sir.
that's where we were in the 90s.
Wow.
Yep.
Well, I was living right down the street, living in a chair right down the street from
Ain't
there.
that something?
Yeah.
Ain't it somehow the Most High bring things around full circle?
Yes, indeed. Yes,
All
sir.
praises be to the Most High. And I know it's tough with family because we have to pray for our family and work with our family because why? We all, as individuals, have a vision for what we thought our life would be. Even though you have husband and wife together, it's just real that you had your idea on what your life would be. And when your wife was growing up, she had an idea of what she wanted her life to be. And this truth throws us, a curve. It's nothing that we can adjust ourselves to. So it's tough, especially on family. And not only that, how many people can agree with what you're dealing with? She can't get her family. The world can't agree with it. But here's something deep. Believe it or not, having the truth now, it's becoming the trend. Can't you see it now? Most people thought that we were crazy, but now everyone seeing the world falling and seeing that the prophecies are coming to pass, and they're looking at you like, man, what you been reading? Because it seems like something is going on. Seems like the truth is becoming trendy now, right? Well, brother, I'm glad you continue to stand, and I'm glad she's here with you. We'll go two more, and then we'll pass it. Well, three more. We'll get you two. But the sister was next. Come on.
Hello.
Shalom. You can speak it to the mic, sister. Come on.
Shalom. My name is Doretta Wright Simmons. I'm from Trenton, New Jersey. I started watching your videos, I guess, in the last 4 months or so, and I always wanted to know in my spirit, what happened to us? You know, how do we get in this whole situation? How do we get disconnected from God? And so what happened, I started staying up almost like every night listening to one video after another, because I guess on YouTube it goes from one and it just continues. So and I'm an elderly person. So I'll be 60, pretty soon, like in February. So so here I am staying up all night for like days, So I'm just getting like a little bit of tiny sleep. And I got every answer. Every question that I needed to know, I got in those videos. So I've been doing community work, and my mother was from Mississippi, my father was Native American, Cherokee, and, from Trenton, and his family's in Philadelphia. So, I have this journey that I'm on. So, in my young days, people used me. I did a voter registration. I was over here trying to help Wilson Good to become mayor. It's just like up in Newark trying to help them. Now, as I wake up, I'm like, I was also like on the parole board as a community person, and I'm saying our brothers are in prison all over the country, and so they're talking about on YouTube like 100,000 coffins in Georgia, and there's 30 deep these tombs or whatever that they've created in Texas that are 30 people deep they can put in. So our brothers, how do we, our ministry, reach our people to say, I think I heard you say John the Baptist or something went out and they put them, or I don't remember things, put them in jail, and then the people in jail started turning around. So.
Oh, that was John the Revelator.
Thank you.
Yeah. Go on.
I was one of those sleep moments.
Okay, that's fine.
Yes. So, that's, I guess that's my question, because I'm the work I do, I'm a construction contractor. So I'm usually like, I don't look like this. And so, I'm around a place called Walnut Street in Trenton, and there's a lot of drug dealing. It's a lot of good people around there. So there's also other areas, to reach out to. How do we, which probably is already established, a ministry that we can prepare, our men and our people incarcerated, because from what I understand, when the 13th Amendment or whatever, there were 95% white people, and then once they did the abolition of slavery, then it became 95% black men. So our people. So how do we create a ministry to be able to get our men?
You're asking how can it get into the remote parts that's needed?
Yes.
With all this ramped up against our people, how can we get to so many people in such a short time, especially in your location where our church is not at? We don't have a location.
That may be all over, because
okay, well, what we're doing is you're seeing it. These men and women here eventually will get tasked with locations to go out by 2s or 4s and go to Trenton, go to certain areas, and just pass out flyers, talk to people, speak. We're going to do this. But keep in mind, sister, Christ tell you that he tells us in the gospel, not one of his is lost. Everyone that belong will get it. Time and chance will happen to all men. There's not going to be one man or woman on earth that's not going to have the opportunity to get this truth.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yes.
Peace, everybody, peace.
Shalom.
Shalom. All praises be to a higher Shire, Hashem Yeshaya, the Savior. Couple things I just wanted to say, extend my gratitude to you two brothers for fighting, for continue to
Can we give him another microphone?
fight, okay. Fighting for truth, for the truth of Christ. One thing that Ahaya is putting on my today.
Don't worry about it. Hold tight, brother.
It's okay.
All right.
Okay, my grandmother a long time ago told me, just talk to God, baby. Just talk to him. Talk to him like a person yourself. And a lot of times I told people, I say, you know God's name is Ahaya. You know that. And I got a lot of hard-headed people around me, and they say, prove it. And you go to the script, prove it. So the Lord told me, he said, tell people to start talking to me again. I am not a child in a room that you talking about that is not aware of what you're saying. Ask him yourself what his name is. He'll tell you today. Ask him yourself, honestly. I don't care how long it takes. You ask him yourself, what's your name? You tell me yourself. And that's what I did. And when I saw you bring that out, brother, I knew that we are getting ready to roll and fulfill all these prophecies that are contained in our scripture. We are getting stronger, and I just want to extend comfort to you brothers, man, and let's get tighter. This is a physical task we got to do, and I just really say thank y'all, man. What's your take on Barabbas being set free and Christ being the one who was executed? That's my question, because through my observation is that revolutionary killing Roman Barabbas was your Black Panthers and all these other organizations that are not using the spirit of Christ to come together. And so if we can study that and know that we are not madmen, okay, and that's not the way that we're going to go to the kingdom, okay? We'll wait for Christ. And I just want to say, if we could teach on Barabbas a little bit more, just as a symbol of who.
Okay, I will. I'll talk about that.
Yeah.
Well,
thank
brother,
you, brother.
well, bless you, brother. You the brother that I was going to see my mother, right?
Yeah.
And I looked, and me and Shapat was here. He was in the car, and I'm like, is somebody following me?
Yeah, I was.
No, this wasn't on the sidewalk. This was on the street. And I'm driving around, and I know as I'm being followed, and something going bum bum bum. I'm like, man, listen, I don't have to go to my North Philly days.
This dude is not. He's not scared of nothing. He's not scared of nothing. This brother.
I pull over, and the brother, he had a tear in his eye, man. He's like, brother, he says, I want to thank you, man. I'm like, he's like, brother, I just want to thank you, brother. And I want to thank you. And he says, Elder Ricard. And I'm like, oh, okay, good. He's a brother. Right. And he was just out of nowhere. And Shapat was looking. I'm like, it's okay. It's all right. Yeah. Another brother. I was only in the States for what? Probably a few hours, if that time, a few days. And I'll go into a remote place at a Wawa, and another brother pops out. I'm going to get some pretzels. I'm like, man, it been a lot of years since I had a pretzel with mustard on it. And I go to get me a pretzel, and I'm like, who's this staring over the pretzel zone over here? Where you at? Where that brother at? It was this brother. I'm like, he's like, and I had a hat on and everything. I was incognito. He was like, you're Elder Ricard Shiar, ain't you? I'm like, man, it's okay. And I was and this was a remote place. I'm like, what is he doing around here? But anyway, I'm like, brother, don't tell, I'm tired. Don't you be telling people. Because my phone gonna be ringing, all that. I need some sleep. But yeah. All right, we have one more. Come on. Yes, sir. Yes. And then we'll turn it over to Amath.
Shalom, family.
Shalom.
I got a financial question. I don't know if you can get into
Oh,
this.
real quick. Just hold that.
Yes,
the brother wanted me to ask the question about Barabbas. No, I can answer that. Just keep the mic. The whole deal was there are records, like in Clement and other records, that speaks of Barabbas after he was released. He repented and became a serious advocate for Christ. Because no man would have given himself anywhere in Israel for Barabbas. He knew that this had to be someone special. And I think they show pieces of that to show you they have some of our records. When you look at the Passion of the Christ, even though they show in Caesarea on that. But when Barabbas is being released, he's like amazed looking as he's leaving like, y'all releasing me? But yeah, Barabbas actually converted and was utilized by the Most High as one before Israel who could repent. Even after sinning exponentially amongst Israel, he became one of Christ's greatest proponents. Okay? Right? Go ahead.
I have a financial question because there's a lot of talk about the bank failures and different things, and people may be losing their money in their 401k. And I just want to get your take on it real quick. I don't know if you can go over it or we can go and talk about it one-on-one, but, we pulled our money out of our 401k. What should we? And what about this teaching about buying silver, tangible things, or silver and gold? And so I'd just like to have your question on that and see what your take is on that.
Okay, there's two things. Number one, the Bible would tell you that when this all go down, people will be throwing their gold in the street. That's number one. Is the wealth, anything tangible is not going to save us. Wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy time. Now, if you want to just talk about real time right now, Brother Shapat is actually a financial advisor about what you can do now for something tangible now to turn in what you have into something you can use now. That's what you should be focused on. The 501ks and all those things, these different, all of those are pipe dreams. It's one of the greatest Ponzi schemes known in the insurance world. Because based on what they're planning down the line, they know you're not going to live long enough to receive any of it anyway. These 401ks and all that. And you notice how the benefit is they'll put in what's there as long as you don't take it out, what you put. To let you know they really didn't put anything there, because when you're ready to pull it out, their part is missing. Right? So it's really a scheme to keep your money in there, while those that are controlling the 401ks are putting money into sure bets, using it now, using the money you put in and investing it. So that's what I know, because before brother asked me when did I first deal with the truth? Well, before that, I was in the insurance sector, so I understood it. I'm not no financial advisor here. I'm just telling you that you got to deal with what's happening today, because tomorrow have enough evils in itself. If there's something that you can get access to do something now with it, then you need to do something now with it. That's the best advice I can give you, because it belongs to you. Like you letting somebody else hold your money in store for a rainy day. That doesn't make any sense. Why don't they let you hold their money for a rainy day? So it's backwards. So the Most High give you the gifts of your hands. Whatever you use with your hands, He gave you that to actually operate in this earth, right? So the whole deal is you take that money and put that money into you, your family, Your ideas, your enterprise. You understand? You don't have to wait for that. Okay? Yes, sir.
Real quick. Shalom.
Shalom.
Antonio from the tribe of Judah.
Bless you, brother.
I was watching your video on the name, the Most High's name.
Yeah.
Before that, I was trying to find my way. And when I seen the video and I was studying, I was in my bag. I was studying, I was going through all the book, the Bible dictionary and all that about the name and the Haya and Yeshaya, right? So I went to sleep. I woke up that morning. It was a sign on the wall. Like, it made sure I saw it. But it was blurry at first, but it was there for like 7 seconds. And it went away. It was written in a language I didn't understand. And at the bottom of it had menorah. So I wanted to know, did you ever hear about this before? Because I was scared.
No, I've never heard of another language being written, but there's been a lot of different phenomenons that I've heard of.
Yeah,
some I've experienced, but I never seen Hebrew written on the wall, the ancient Hebrew. That's your sign. That was a sign for you.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Jacob seeketh a sign, you receive one, right?
Yeah.
There it is.
Right. Thank you.
Who that? Yes, sir.
Shalom family and elders.
Shalom.
First off, I want to give all praises to the Most High, by Hashem Yeshaya, and the Holy Spirit will walk. And I want to thank you, elders, personally. You guys brought a lot of truth to many people, including myself. And I'm gonna make it real short, and y'all know what I mean. But to make it real short, with my family, my wife or my soon-to-be wife, if the Most High willing, her English is not that great. It's good, but long story short, if there's not, I know we have brothers in Puerto Rico, part of the Gathering of Christ that are doing the work down there. But if there's not I guess my question is, if there's a concentrated effort to, I guess, get the lessons in Spanish and everything, because I've been doing, because she asked me questions and I can't respond in English. I got to go into the Spanish and then English and back and forth. And if there's a concentrated effort, if there is not, if there's any service, if I can be any help to that, I would like to be. But if there is, if there's something.
Matter of fact, there is a concentrated effort on it that's being done with the New York church, since it's they have a large number of the 10 tribes in there, as far as Balikwa Taino, Ephraim, and different, Dominican Republic. So the whole deal is we have a YouTube page in Spanish that you can take them to. That they're breaking down all that
from
on
New York,
YouTube.
Or the brothers from Puerto Rico, or the brothers in New York?
Well, it's in conjunction with New York, but it's Puerto Rico.
Because I live in Allentown, so I travel. I go both to New York and Pennsylvania, because either which way I got to travel 80 miles.
Okay.
So I'll come to Philly, and then every other weekend I'll go to New York. So,
Okay.
So I go back and forth. But
Well, hey, listen, we're in Ephraimite. We've been dropped down into Ephraimite territory right here, so we should definitely make a way to get some Ephraim.
Okay,
I'm gonna tell you right now.
Thank you. Tawada.
Bless you.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
My name Brother Malak. I'm from GOCC VA. I just want to say I came to the church like 2000. Well, I started learning in 2014, the end of 2014, and when I first started learning, it was just 5 brothers on the front porch. We just used to watch your videos every Sabbath. We just sit right there. We didn't know what we was doing at first. It was one brother, he knew some things, and he just started talking to us, and he got us to come every Sabbath, and we started going to church in Hampton. And now the Richmond, I just want to say this real quick. This now in Richmond, we got a church now, and it's like 60 people in there. We got a piano, we got a drummer, we got 2 deacons that alternate. We got a sound system. We got a cameraman. It's just, we really came from 6 people on the front porch. And that's amazing. I'm talking about we only, and the brothers, we was 21, 22 at this time, and y'all could imagine what we could have been doing. And for us to really be observing the Sabbath, you know, and that's hard for a lot of people, especially young brothers that be doing anything on Friday nights, anything on Saturdays, and go to church on Sunday like we ain't did nothing. And it's just that happened, and I watched a church that grew from 6 people on the front porch to a living room eating pizza to going to another brother's house and getting fine fruit and fine wine and good, you know, just good stuff that you, not pizza, you know, and it's just amazing. I just want to say that we got to do this work out here. It ain't all up to Elder Rakanya, the lawyer. We got to go out here. We got to be on these street corners. We got to be. But that's all I just want to say. We got to be out here. We got to be in the trenches. We got to go to these places we don't want to go. We got to go to these places and wake these people up because it's our job. You know what I'm saying? Christ told us, go ye forth and teach all nations, baptize them in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. So that's what we got to do. We got a mission, and we got to get it, y'all. You know what I'm saying? That's it. Thank you.
He's right on. All right. Yes, brother. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Brother
Yeah,
Bobby
this
from
plan is in the way a little bit, if you don't
Sorry about
mind.
that.
Thank you. No, that's no problem.
Brother Bobby from the tribe of Gad. Just had a quick question. I appreciate the time you give me. I'm going to make it real quick. I've noticed that in your teaching, you teach a lot on the commandments and the feast days and things of that nature. Coming out of the Christian church had a lot of value in it too, as far as marriage and you know, doing things that, you know, with your wife and how to live on that level. But here it seems like it's all more on the laws and stuff. Did you think it would be any way that you can kind of incorporate some like marriage rules? Like men, we have a lot of young people that go to our church, and they need to know how to be men. They need to know how to treat their wives. They need to know how to live according to the way the Most High is teaching us to live, and women as well. So I'm just wondering if there's any way that you can incorporate a lot more marriage skills.
All right.
As far as
we will do so. We will do so. Also on our leadership classes, that's part of it. The Ephesians, the 5th chapter, it goes in it to love your wife like Christ loved the church, and it goes into things, all of that. But yeah, we just need regular 101 lessons on how to keep our relationships. That's needed. So yes, we will incorporate that. Yeah.
I have one question, Elder.
Yes, sir.
What is your take on deja vu?
Huh?
What is your take on deja vu? Why do we experience
What is my take on deja vu? All right. You mean how it's this thing where it seems like you've done it before, or this moment happened before? All right. Now, there's 2 separate takes. One take is that you have some people try to use that as proof of reincarnation, saying, well, I did this in another life. We know that's not so. Okay? There's no such thing as reincarnation. Hebrews 9:27 tell you, is given unto man once to die and then the judgment. You're not coming back again. All right? So I'm getting that out of the way. Well, sometimes in certain instances, when spirits operate in people, right, they are dealing with time and past situations. And sometimes when they cleave to the body, those thoughts are in people. from a prior spirit that's been operating even before our time. Right? Another thing is, you have to realize when it comes to the Most High creation, when he says, I'm Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end has already been done. You understand? The Most High can look at this part of our life, that part of our life, and the end. He can see it all. Right? Now, sometimes through that, because we're spiritual beings, we can get a look into a future time that has already been made. And sometimes we experience that while we are awoken. It's just that the whole thing has been finished. And you've seen it before, prior, probably in a dream or from the past. And now you're saying, man, that person said the same thing. Like I was sitting in the same room. Man, this is an eerie moment. Well, it's something you've seen probably in a dream. Seeing the future, because the Most High already mapped out time. So that's the answer to that. There's nothing too deep in it when it comes to different lives and all that. I see people try to go into this mysterious area of the unknown to try to give some type of credibility to reincarnation and all that. All it is the Most High giving you an insight to the future.
Yeah, because the reason why I asked, because I experienced it quite a few times. I try to alter it because it be
you trying to alter it?
Yeah, listen. I'm tell
oh
you,
Lord
right,
have mercy.
So what happened is it would happen, and I'm like, you know what? I've seen this before. Let me try to go to the left and see what happens. But it always comes back, and it still like play out. So I was really worried, like, okay, what is deja vu? Like, but the way you explain it, that's grand. Thank you very much for that.
I've never seen it to that degree where you actually live in it real time over and over again. Yeah, that sounds like Groundhog Day. But no, it's maybe the Most High have it where he works with your dreams when you can see things. You can see the future and all that. It tell you that that's one of the prophecies. And you'll be able to see your dreams, you'll see visions. But don't start dictating your life off that. That's when it goes off. Understand it's a moment, and that moment will pass. All right? Yes.
Shalom, Elder.
Bless you.
Bless you too, brother. My name's Eric from the tribe of Levi, Nation of Israel. One question. It says we're supposed to get baptized in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Yes.
Does the Holy Spirit have a name that we should be getting baptized under as well? Or is she just...
Yeah, Rawak.
That's it?
That's it.
Say no more.
Yeah. All right.
Shalom, fam.
Bless you. Shalom.
I'm Atazawam Tham, Tribe of Judah. I have a question about, it's about, what is it? I lost some train of thought. It's about child support.
All right.
I understand that I watched a video of yours a long time ago that said you basically kind of got past the whole child support thing.
Say that again.
You got past the. I seen a video of yours that you got past the whole child support thing. I guess they took you to child support and you didn't end up having you didn't have to pay it.
No, what I'm telling you, there's a law that people don't know that when they're dealing with it, and if you already signed those papers, you're bound by those papers. Okay. Right?
Yeah.
So if you go in there, there's a guy sitting there with a room and say, sign this. That's the paperwork that's saying that I agree with what everyone here said, and that now you can go into my bank account and go into my job and funnel funds over here. Without that paperwork, your job just can't give your money to someone else without you being complicit. A lot of people don't know that. So they'll try to bully you into thinking that you're supposed to sign that paper. But if you sit there and look at the paper and say, well, what happens if I don't sign that? They'd be like, well, we don't usually experience that. But do I go to jail if I don't sign that? They'll tell you, well, no, you don't go to jail. I'm like, okay, I'm out of here then.
That's crazy, because they told me if I ain't signed that paper, that they was going to force it on me anyway.
No, they can try to coerce you and threaten you. The whole deal is they get paid for every contract you sign. It's a racket. But a lot of brothers and sisters don't know. They don't even read it. They just sign it. You're actually allowing them. And I was thinking that when you read it and say, well, okay, if they could already take the money, then they wouldn't have this in front of you. Right? So they actually need you to agree with this. Now, the judgment from the court is one thing, but what they have you sign is something else. That means future jobs and all that. They're able to act as a power of attorney and say, I'm him too, and I need this money. You're not supposed to be giving up all that. You're supposed to agree to take care of that child. That's between you, your wife, or the mother of the child, and what the courts deem. But you can agree to just that. You don't got to sign all this other stuff you don't agree to. That's binding you almost indefinitely. Even after the child is 18 years of age, you're still going to owe from when he was 12 or 13. It's bondage. But they don't tell you that. Now, if you already signed it, I can't say much about it. But the reality is that's just law. If you sign, you're bound to what you signed to. And, you must follow the law.
Thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So before signing something, you need to just ask the question, what happens if I don't sign this? I mean, can I walk out if I don't sign this? If they say, yeah, you can walk out, walk out. Okay, that's how it works. Yes. That's it? Oh, okay, I could do one more. Sister right here, that's it. And then I can conversate with y'all one-on-one. Then you can come in, right? Yes, sister.
Sister Dessa from the tribe of Judah. Hi,
Shalom.
Elder. I got in touch with you last year. I'm the girl that called and said I was from Philly. I was in my church for 25 years. The Spirit told me to walk out and don't come back. So somebody tried to lead me into Judaism. I started learning online. They were teaching the name of Jehovah. I even had a brother from Virginia send me a whole package for the Passover with the book on Yahweh. He sent bread, he sent wine, juice for my family. Make a long story short, I told my old church I would not come back in there again until they start observing the Sabbath. I got a phone call from somebody after I saw your videos, and I text you. I said, I can't find anywhere to fellowship in Philadelphia, and you led me to Elder Martha. He called me, but I waited for your phone call for 3 months. I kept praying. I said, Lord, he didn't call me yet. He didn't call me. He didn't get back in touch with me. So when you did get back in touch with me and told me it was a church here in Philly, I was ecstatic. So I told my old church I would not step back in there unless these people was observing the Sabbath. I got a phone call this past Saturday. Dessa, you need to get over to your old church because they heard that you've been in this teaching. You don't keep the Sunday service no more. You're into the baptism. I walk in there with what I had on now. They decided they was not going to do a Sunday service because they heard it was pagan. So when I walked in the door and my old pastor saw me, everybody was ecstatic. They said, girl, we see the Christ in you. What is going on? I said, I just learned the truth, and I'm not going back, and I just want to give all praises to the Most High for your teaching because it's changing my old church.
Well, sister, why don't you open the doors so that the church can actually speak to the pastor?
I gave them some information. I sure did. I passed it along to them.
Okay.
Yes, thank
All
you
right,
so
bless
much.
you. All right,
Wow.
blessings. Okay, that's it?
Shalom, Elder.
Shalom,
Respectful.
sister.
Sister Shakasia from the tribe of Judah. All I wanted to say is, bless you, Elder Thawada, for your work, for everything that you've done. I just wanted to pay some respect to our elder of Jesus, Elder Amath and his family.
We
You
know
got
what you're
Robin.
trying to say. I'm going to send some microphones here. I know that. That's my gift to this church.
You know, Robin, Mom, Pat, you know, Elder, I just want you to know what your brother in Christ is doing out here. He is changing lives. You understand what I'm saying? He is saving families. You understand what I'm saying? And I'm just here to bear testimony of what he has done for me, for my husband, for my family, you know, under your teachings. But, you know, we always got to pay respect to the hometown elder, Amar. Thank you so much.
There you go. All right. Come on, Amar.
Hey, the water. Let's give it up for the Most High, higher. And his dear son, Yeshua. Okay. Man, this is one of the first Friday nights I hadn't had to teach in a couple years. It was a blessing to sit back and take notes and be fed, you know, the word. So it was a blessing. But, you know, it would be wrong for me to not read the scripture. This is 1 Timothy chapter 5 and verse 17. And it says, "Let the elders that rule well be counted worthy of double honor, especially they who labor in the word and doctrine." So, you know, really the reason why I'm up here, elders, is just because, you know, I want to thank you. And on behalf of the church in, you know, Philadelphia, we just want to, you know, thank you and commend you for your work's sake in the Most High and through Yeshua. I mean, you know, for me and my family, it's, you know, it's a huge responsibility, like being in the city where it really started and, you know, walking in those footsteps. So, you know, I just want to give honor, you know, to you as elders, and not just to you, but to your family, you know, to your wives, you know, your son, because that's the work. You know, the work is with the family, the sacrifices that they make to help us get there. And, you know, we have a couple gifts here that we just want to give as some tokens, you know, of our appreciation, you know, for your labor and for your work. And just know that, you know, I think I told you this one night, but, you know, when you're laboring, I'm laboring. So, you know, listen, we clock in, but we don't clock out. So we be up all night working just with you all. So if one of the sisters or the sisters could come and present some of the gifts to the elders and their families. Okay, so we got something for the wives. We got something for the sisters there. There we have it. And that's from Sister Loma. Sister, you know, she's been doing some great work. You know, she does T-shirts and all types of things and things for the home. And Sister's extremely gifted. You know, so I noticed some good stuff up in there. She was the one that had these books and all that. She, you know, she got some sharp stuff. All praise. This something from my noble daughters. Is that what that is? Okay, well, this something from our noble daughters. They got you know, some you know, some skin wear, some lotions, some creams, and listen, they got that. They got all that stuff. They be whipping it up. Oh Lord. All right, Elder. This for you, sir. There you go.
There we have it. Yeah, just in case we don't get you, Elder, get you early. Yeah. That's handcrafted there, Elder. Sister Loma. Oh, there you go. That's from moms. Moms in the oils, man. Yes, sir. And we got some teas somewhere up in there, some nice organic teas somewhere. The wives got them? All right, Jenny. Well, we got, the white, yeah. And from Sister Shannon, that's that white bag that's right in front of you, the small one. Yeah. Uh-oh, go ahead. She makes those. Sister Shannon, where's she at? There she go, right there. Yeah, we do. We do. Yeah. Yeah, we implemented that every Sabbath we have it as the sun goes down. Exactly. Exactly. Yes, sir. So we just wanted to say, elders and family, we love y'all. Welcome back to Philly. It's just like y'all never left. And, anytime y'all want to come in fellowship, hey, we here. All right? All praises. And I do want to say to y'all and the body, listen, last academy and this academy right now, whew, if y'all hadn't been in this thing, I'm going to tell you, I was sitting on the edge of my seat like I'm watching a good movie. And y'all know I don't like movies. Okay, let me tell you something. it's excellent. It's second to none. So brothers and sisters, and just be encouraged that we're in the truth. You understand? And the truth that's being set forth is unparalleled. And I thank the Most High, honor y'all for y'all work's sake, because I know it's a lot of work. I was behind that camera one time. Let me tell you, the congregation know me. I'm the coolest cat in the room. That was my uncool moment. Okay? He's like, you got it, young man? I'm like, yeah. He like, Joe, listen, 3830, I'll never forget it in my life. Listen, okay? But it was just, man, the immense, spiritual focus you have to do to deliver that academy, is so much respect, from my point of view to y'all, is amazing. I teach Sabbath in, Sabbath out, but that is another beast all in itself. So bless y'all for y'all work's sake. Let's give it up for the elders in the academy. So at this time, how we looking like with the food? What we looking like? Huh? We ready? Ready or not, here we come. You can't hide. He ain't eat nothing. Listen, you got some oxtails going. Mom got some of that beef. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And the sisters, I know they put their foot in it, man. We got some cornbread and some things like that going, so we're going to do that. So if we want to pray out, we'll play a little soft music and we'll get that together. Maybe we might have a choir if y'all up for it. All right? So that's what we're going to do. So let's actually pray out and let's pray over the food, and we'll get that together. Hey, Robin, you up for that Shema? Come on. Don't play with me. All right. Ahaya. Asher Ahaya. Ba Shem Yeshaya. Wawawak. Ahaya. Asher Ahaya. Ba Shem Yeshaya. Wawawak. Ahaya. Asher Ahaya. Ba Shem Yeshaya. Hamashiach. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done. On earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. And forgive us of our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine art the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever. Amen. All right, we're going to sing the Shema.
Shema, Yasha.